The scene starts in a bedroom where a boy named Chu Qing lying on a bed and Ye Chenxi was sitting upon him. Chu Qing opens his eyes and the Chenxi was happy to see him awake, but Chu Qing is shocked to see the girl with him. He jumps out of bed and starts asking where he is. Ye Chenxi remarks that she didn't expect the drug to work for such a short period of time. Still, she finds it more interesting to have a living man with her. Confused by her words, Chu Qing screamed and suddenly realizes that he has been reborn. 300 years ago, he had accidentally entered into the fairy world at Qingcheng Mountain, and he began his cultivation journey. In those 300 years, he had worked tirelessly day and night to increase his power and become a swordsman cultivator. He was about to reach Realm of Eternity, but didn't reach that, instead opened a hall of time and space, but he never imagined he would return to the time when he was just 17 years old. Still perplexed by the woman's presence, asks to her what she wants, but she was behaving so seductive. Chu Qing mentions that there must be some misunderstanding and now he needs to leave. Chengxi stands up and says that she never let go of her pigeons and it is his honor for him to be liked by her. Shushan ignores her and starts to walk out of the room. Suddenly, Chenxi grabs his hand with strong grip. He turned back and held her hand. He realized that his current body doesn't have much energy and was trying to push her, but she charged on him. Some laser lights came out and he fell down backward. Chu Qing saw his school uniforms, took it and ran to leave the house. Ye Chenxi called him as her big white rabbit whom she will never let go. As he steps outside, he takes in the sight of the city, which he hasn't seen in 300 years. He feels happy that he finally returned to the earth and he can finally reunite with his parents. However, he notices something strange around him. Women were dominating over the men, and men were behaving so feminine. Chu was shocked to see this, and he realized that in this world, women are in charge of every activity, holding the roles and responsibilities that men would typically have in a normal world. The scene then shifted to the library, where Chu Qing went to find out why things had turned out this way. He discovered that in ancient times, a cataclysm occurred between the seasons of spring and autumn. This event altered women's physiology, making them smarter and stronger. A woman named Kong Mo was born, and she developed the ideology that women are superior to men. This caused the shift in imperial power from prince to princesses. In this world, when there's an extramarital affair, the man is considered unfaithful and is heavily frowned upon. However, it's normal for women to chase after men. He didn't even know if his family was like this too. When he went home, he saw his father, Lin Yuantu, taking care of the house. His father was surprised to see him since he had told him that he was going to visit a friend and would be returning late. His father noticed the scent of women's perfume on him and asked if he had been with a woman. His father had already told him that it's dangerous for a handsome boy like him to go outside. He showed him a news report about a 15-year-old boy who believed his classmate was raped, and the video was spread, ruining the boy's future. Chushin reassured his father that he didn't need to worry about him, and asked where his mother was. His father told him that his mother was out at a business meeting and that their business wasn't going well these days. Chu then went to call his sister to eat something together. He was shocked to find her watching porn in her room. Embarrassed, he quickly closed the door and flustered, shouted through the door for her to come out for the meal. She was blushing as she came out. Chu Qing asked her if she had been watching porn in her room. She replied that this is the age of live broadcasts and that it was fun watching a little guy with a hot body, then walked away. After a while, she dressed up to hang out with her friends and asked her father for 100 yuan. Her father asked why she needed to go out with them. She replied that she wanted to socialize and do business with them. Her father told her to learn something from her brother so that he and her mother wouldn't have to worry about her. She said she didn't need to learn anything from her brother, as he could easily marry a rich woman, but she has to struggle for herself. She insisted that her parents must support her and then went out. Chu Qing asked his father if it was okay to let her go out like this. His father replied that there wasn't much else he could do, as he couldn't tie her down. She has to go out and earn money. Chu Qing was surprised by this feminist world. His mother came home from work, and Chu went to her and hugged her. She asked what was wrong with him and gave him some pocket money. Chu Qing thought that in his previous life, his mother had been miserly, and he would have to beg her for money just to go out. But now she gave him money voluntarily. He wanted to return the money, but his mother refused to take it back. His father then told her about his sister, saying that she was fooling them, but his mother was okay with it, explaining that this was how she had hooked up with him for the first place. Chu was irritated to see his parents behaving this way. He worried about whether he would end up the same in the future. He left his parents and entered his room, which was spotlessly clean. He realized that in this world, women are dominant, so every household wants to have a daughter. A woman must have a house and a car to marry a good man, while a man only needs to be handsome and attractive. He opened his drawer and saw that it was full of letters. Then he realized that he had been the school princess in middle school. He sat down and thought it would be better for him to keep cultivating and leave this world as soon as possible. He also considered the qi of this world, which was so thick that, with its help, he could open the tunnel and return to his original world. He started practicing his cultivation techniques. After practicing the Goken freedom skill, his senses and feelings became more sensitive. Many thoughts were swirling in his mind. His desire to leave this place, his sister still not being home, and more. Suddenly Chu's phone rang. It was his sister calling. She sounded distressed and told him she was in trouble. She urgently asked him to bring a black bag that was hidden under her bed, instructing him not to tell their parents or the police. Some women were holding her captive and told him to bring the bag immediately if he didn't want her to get hurt. They directed him to Crescendo Bar on High Street, room number 302. After cutting the call, Chu hurried to her room, found the black bag under the bed, and quickly grabbed it. He knew he couldn't let anyone mess with his family. Instead of taking the road, Chu used his skills to jump from building to building, reaching the bar as quickly as possible. When he arrived at room 302, he found his sister crying and in a dangerous situation with those women. He threw the bag onto the table in front of the leader and demanded to release his sister. The woman, however, seemed more interested in Chu and asked him his age. He dismissed the question, saying it didn't matter. The woman then opened the bag, revealing it was filled with a huge amount of money. Chu's sister was shocked. She had no idea the money was there. Chu was also surprised as it amounted to about $1 million. His sister insisted she didn't know about the money, explaining that Xiaolin had just asked her to hold on to the bag for a while. The woman told them that Lin had caused trouble at her place and stolen the money, and with that, she released Chu's sister. However, she wasn't willing to let Chu leave. As his sister prepared to go, she muttered that she knew it couldn't be that easy. The woman then remarked that she found Chu young and cute and didn't want him to leave, though she agrees to let his sister go. His sister tried to protect him, pleading with the woman not to involve her brother and to let him go. The lady laughed, saying that if she wanted Chu to leave, then she would have to stay and work for them. Reluctantly, his sister agreed to stay and told Chu to go home. She promised she would catch up with him later after resolving the situation. Chu Qing, offended by the suggestion, replied that he had morals and asked the woman if she really wanted him to stay. He placed his foot on the table and taunted her. The lady warned him not to be smart, threatening to take him to her bed and torture him in every possible way. In response, Chu Qing moved forward and slapped the lady so hard that blood flew from her mouth. His sister was terrified as a fight broke out. Chu Qing realized how strong she was and found it intriguing that women in this world possessed such strength. The lady ordered her guards to subdue him. Using his skills, Chu Qing jumped away and taunted them to attack if they could. He defeated the guards and started to walk out, but the lady pulled out a gun, threatening to shoot if they didn't stop. His sister, scared, begged her to spare her brother. The lady, unmoved, declared that no amount of begging would save them. She was determined to kill both. Just then, the door opened, and Ye Chenxi walked in with a cigarette in her mouth. She observed the scene with interest and asked why she hadn't been invited to it. She was happy to see Chu again. Chu recognized her as the woman he had met in the bedroom on the day he was reborn. He asked her why she was there. She replied that this place belonged to her and told the others to leave, declaring that he was now her responsibility and that she would take care of him. Zhou Yun protested, saying that this was against the rules. In response, Chenxi ordered her guards to take Zhou Yun away, cut off her hands and feet, and throw her into the street. Ye Chenxi then turned to Chu, admiring him, and said that this was her gift to him. Chu was surprised by her sudden kindness. Chenxi explained that he was the first man who had dared to speak to her that way, making him different from all the others. She then expressed her desire for him to become her 36th boyfriend. However, Chu refused, saying he wasn't interested in her and that he could handle himself. Chenxi remarked that a simple man like him, with his small frame, could easily end up as Zhou's prostitute. Chu challenged her by asking if she was comparing his strength to her own. He then proposed a game. If he won, she would have to stop bothering him. His sister, worried about him, tried to dissuade him from going through with it. But Chenxi, confident in her abilities, reassured him and accepted the challenge, betting that if she won, Chu would have to be her boyfriend. The game soon began, and the bar quickly filled with onlookers. They whispered among themselves, doubting the sense of a man challenging a woman, claiming that men were made of water, while women were made of iron. Chu realized that in this world, women were indeed very strong and saw men as insignificant. Chenxi intended to show him the vast difference in strength between men and women. Despite finding Chenxi extraordinarily strong, Chu was determined to prove that he wasn't just an ordinary man. Using his powers, he managed to defeat her and win the game. Chu won the game and reminded Chenxi not to forget about the bet. He then grabbed his sister's hand and left the place. Everyone was in disbelief, shocked to see how a man could be strong enough to defeat a woman. Chenxi felt both intimidated and intrigued. Her guard suggested chasing after him, but she slapped one of them and said she hadn't lost him yet. She told Chu that it was surprising, but men like him were meant to take care of women's needs. She reiterated her offer. All he had to do was say yes and become her husband, and no other woman would dare lay a hand on him. Chu turned down the offer, asking who had told her that men needed to be glued to women. He pointed out that men have hands and feet too. They can make their own path. The crowd was stunned by his refusal. Chengxi tried to explain that since ancient times men have been pursued by women and that women are the pillars of the world. She claimed that the world's virtues and masterpieces were all created by women, and even children knew this. Another woman chimed in, saying that while there were a few male heroes in literature, it was women who truly mattered in society. Chu stepped closer to her and said that all he knew was that men strive and fight to improve themselves, and what they do rewards the efforts of the cute ladies. With that, he walked out of the bar. Chengxi found him even more interesting and declared that he was her type, insisting that she wasn't going to let him go. Her guard suggested returning home, but she refused, saying she wanted to stay outside for 2 more days. Chu returned home with his sister, who asked him not to tell their parents about what had happened. But Chu insisted that he would tell them because they were worried about her. His sister shouted at him, feeling threatened by his intentions. She was still amazed by his strength and asked why he didn't want to marry Chengxi in the future, pointing out that Chengxi was the heiress of a very important family in Jinmen, and if he married her, they would both benefit. Chu angrily told her to shut up or he'd send her back to the bar. Once they reached home, Chu continued practicing to regain his true strength, feeling that his current power was insufficient. He then heard his sister's voice watching porn again and thought to himself that she was even worse than his sister from the original world. The next day, Chu went to school and met his best friend, Lin Dong. Lin, holding Chu's hand, asked him what he had been doing the day before and why he hadn't answered his calls. Chu, however, felt irritated by Lin's overly feminine behavior. Lin then mentioned that he had heard Chu was in trouble the previous day. Chu brushed it off, saying it was nothing and that he was fine now. He quickly made an excuse to get away from Lin, thinking that this boy wasn't acting like his friend anymore. Chu went to the classroom, where everyone was busy with their own activities. He sat at his desk, feeling frustrated and wanting to leave this world. Songcha Oran, the class president, poked him and asked if he was okay. Chu made an excuse, saying he was just hungry because he hadn't had breakfast. Oran, visibly nervous, offered to eat with him. Another girl in the classroom, feeling jealous, told Oran to stay away. She pushed Oran aside and asked Chu if he had read her love letter from the previous day. Annoyed, Chu pushed the girl away, which made her angry, and she was about to punch him, almost starting a fight. At that moment, Ye Mao, another student, entered the scene. He told the girl to leave. Ye Mao was Ye Chenxi's brother, and he wanted to talk to Chu for a minute. He led Chu out of the classroom and apologized for what had happened between Chu and his sister the day before. He then asked Chu to go for a ride with him and his sister. Chu, however, responded that she would probably mix drugs in his drink and take him to the bedroom again, as she had done before. Ye Mao was embarrassed to hear all these. Later, when classes ended, Chu was walking down the road when Chengxi stopped her car and asked him to get in, saying it was for the sake of his family. Chu reluctantly entered the car and Chengxi seemed pleased. He warned her that she had made a huge mistake by messing with his family. She assured him that she wasn't threatening him. He demanded that she admit whether she was threatening him or not. Jumping towards her, he warned her that she must understand the consequences of threatening him. Chengxi calmly replied that she wasn't threatening him, but offered to help her sister and mother with their business, which was currently facing some issues. Skeptical, Chu asked why she was being so sympathetic. She responded that whether it was sympathy or not, she intended to pursue him openly, suggesting they start as friends and later take care of his family's business together. Chu finally sat back, agreeing to be friends with her, but told her not to annoy him and to drive faster. Chengxi then asked him if he practiced martial arts. Chu replied that he didn't, adding that in this world, men are capable of cultivation. Chengxi, however, wasn't convinced. She said she suspected he was lying about his strength and wasn't like other men, so she had done a little research on his family and found no connection to old martial arts. She thought he was trying to keep his abilities a secret from her. Chu was baffled by her comments, having no idea what she was talking about. Suddenly, a vehicle collided with them, causing a severe car accident. Chengxi was immediately worried about Chu, asking if he was okay. Although injured, Chu managed to hold on and somehow got out of the car. Chengxi insisted on taking him to the hospital, but before they could move, they noticed a group of feminine silhouettes approaching them, armed with weapons. Chengxi shouted at them, demanding to know how they dared to hurt Chu. Ready to fight, she used her skills to jump up and kick them. Another woman approached Chu, underestimating him once again. He punched her, joined the fight, and used his skills to kick them all out. Chengxi was fighting alongside him. The women were shocked to see his fighting abilities. Together, they defeated their opponents, and Chengxi praised Chu, saying that if he hadn't been there, she would have been in a difficult situation. She then invited him to dinner, but Chu declined, suggesting they reschedule for another day. He needed to leave before his father started worrying about him. Just then, Chenxi's phone rang, and she shouted in distress. Chu wanted to ask what had happened but decided it wasn't his place and began to walk away. Chengxi, with tears in her eyes, grabbed his hand and begged him not to leave. She revealed that her mother had been hurt, just like they had. Chu was surprised to hear this, wondering how it could be a coincidence that both she and her mother were injured at the same time. It seemed that the Jinmen underworld was about to be shaken. Chengxi told Chu that if her mother died, her aunt would kick her out of the family. Chu reassured her, telling her not to worry, and agreed to stay by her side. He encouraged her to stay strong, reminding her that her family now depended on her. Chengxi was moved by his words, began to trust him, and hugged him tightly. That night, they went to Chenxi's mansion. Her guards were pleased to see her but informed her that the situation was tense. Her aunt, Ye Mei, had ordered that no one except Chengxi was allowed to enter the mansion. Chu asked what was going on, and Chengxi explained that her mother had told her that Ye Mei had been in the family for years, conspiring with other families. However, without concrete proof, she couldn't take any action. She hadn't expected her aunt to make her move so quickly. Ignoring Mei's orders, Chengxi began walking in with Chu Qing. When others tried to stop her, she shouted, asking how they could mistreat her guest. Chu told them that he was a doctor and had come to check on Miss Ye. He mentioned that he had studied medicine in the fairy world and that his skills could help now. The guards mocked him, questioning how a man could be a doctor. One of them joked that another guard had been suffering from a reproductive system infection for years and also had kidney problems, possibly due to practicing old martial arts for many years. Despite taking Chinese medicines, her condition hadn't improved, and she was relying on numerous pills. The other guard responded that she had no right to criticize someone for taking pills. Finally, they allowed Chu to enter with Chengxi. Inside, her aunt and cousin, Ye Meyer, were waiting to welcome her. Ye Mei remarked that Chengxi had arrived just in time, or who knows what might have happened. Chengxi rudely asked her aunt about her mother. Mi reminded her to respect the family hierarchy and address her properly as aunt. She then focused on Chu, questioning how Chengxi could bring a stranger into their home. It was forbidden for a man to join the Ye family. Chengxi explained that Chu was a doctor and that she needed to see her mother. Ye Mei was shocked to hear that Chu was a doctor, as she had assumed he was someone Chengxi had brought home a few days ago. She also mentioned that if a man wanted to join the Ye family, he would need to prove certain abilities and convert himself into a Ye family man. Otherwise, he couldn't enter the house. She then asked her daughter to check whether Chu was skilled or not. Mei set a trap for Chengxi, knowing that if Meyer harmed Chengxi's guest, Chengxi would protect him, even if it meant breaking their family's rules. If Chengxi did so, no one, not even her mother, could protect her from being cast out of the family. Meyer made a bet with Chu that if she won, he would have to spend the night with her. Chengxi shouted at her for being outrageous, but Chu stopped her and said it was fine. He would fight. Meyer suddenly jumped to attack, and Chu realized that she had only made those comments to distract them. He punched her so hard that she was thrown back. Then he asked if she still wanted to make love with him. Disgusted by the violence against her daughter, Mei called Chu an animal. Chengxi defended him, saying that Meyer had provoked him. Chu then suggested they take Meyer to the hospital, as he wasn't sure if she had sustained internal injuries. An aunt cursed him. They ignored them and went inside the house. Another cousin was standing at the door of her mother's room. She was happy to see Chengxi and hugged her warmly. Chengxi asked about her mother, and she replied that her mother was all right, but the wound was severe and she was under observation. Chu suggested that if that was the case, they shouldn't waste any time and should check on her to see what he could do to help. The girl asked who he was, and Chengxi explained that he was a friend and a doctor who was going to check on her mother. They entered the room, and Chengxi was relieved to see her mother and hugged her. Her mother asked who Chu was. Chu introduced himself as a doctor and explained that Chengxi had called him to take care of her. He then asked her mother to show him her wounds. Suddenly, upon seeing Chengxi's family, Chu realized it was late, and he hadn't gone home yet. He knew his father would scold him for this, and worried about how he would explain the situation to his family. Chengxi's mother laughed and said there wasn't much more he could do, then asked him to leave so she could have some time with her daughter. The girls showed him to the door, and he left the room. Chengxi began convincing her mother to let him examine her wound, praising him as an amazing person who had saved her life. Her mother was surprised to hear this, as it was the first time Chengxi had ever complimented a man. Chu then entered the scene and said he had investigated the attack, discovering that they had targeted her with a harmful energy on the left side of her back. He also suggested that she needed to use a large amount of her energy to prevent this negative energy from spreading throughout her body. Chu explained that she was weakened because she had used much of her energy to counter the intruder's power. Her mother was shocked to hear this and asked everyone to leave, as she wanted to speak with Chu alone. Chengxi didn't want to leave him alone, but since it was her mother's order, she had to leave the room. The doors closed, and her mother asked Chu if the Li family had sent him and what his intentions were with Chenxi. Chu, confused, clarified that he was not from the Li family and told her that if she had any doubts about him being with Chenxi, she should ask her daughter because she was the one interested in him. He also reminded her that he had saved Chenxi's life, and without him, she might not have survived. Her mother believed him and agreed to show him the wound. At the same time, she warned him that if he had any plans against Chenxi, it would be his family who would receive his corpse. As she started removing her clothes, Chu closed his eyes and stopped her, saying that while he might be young, he was still a man. When he opened his eyes, he saw a severely infected wound on her back. He was shocked to see the extent of the wound, which was far worse than he had anticipated. He informed her that while she could resist the infection for now, in a few days, her internal organs would start to deteriorate. Her mother asked him if there was anything he could do about it. He said he would try and, touching her wound, used his power to absorb the negative energy. The process caused her a great deal of pain as Chu concentrated all his strength and power on the task. With his current abilities, he was only able to extract some of the negative energy and told her that he didn't dare extract it all at once. He had done everything he could for the moment. Her mother felt some relief and was feeling better. She then asked him if he wanted anything in return for saving her from danger. He replied that Chenxi was a good friend, and it was simply a normal act of help. She smiled and agreed as she forgot, "You're just a friend of hers." This sounded strange to him. Chenxi was once again impressed by him and thanked him for healing her mother. She grabbed him to hug and asked him not to leave tonight as she had a little reward for him. He pushed her away and refused, saying that if his parents found out he spent the night with a girl, they would freak out, and then he headed to the car. Chenxi understood and said, "After all, they have a good son in you." Chu left, glancing at his hand, where the bad energy had been absorbed. It felt like a curse, one that he couldn't eradicate with his current level of power. In the fairy world, he had an elixir that could handle such things, and he wondered if there might be a counterpart in this world. The next day, as he arrived at school, he heard students cheering for a girl named Tang Xian. Chu was surprised to hear her name. She was playing basketball skillfully, looking pretty while doing so. He could hardly believe it was her, his first love from preparatory school. All the boys were crazy about her, some saying she melted their hearts, while others praised her as a genius. Then Chu realized that this was a different world where they didn't know each other, and if he approached her, he might embarrass himself. Suddenly, he heard her calling out to him, saying she had seen him before. Chu made an excuse, saying that since they attended the same school, she might have seen him around. But she insisted, not in that way. Chu realized that, just like in the other world, she was always curious about him. Ignoring that thought, she asked him to play basketball with her, offering to teach him. Chu simply snatched the ball from her hand, spun it, and agreed to play. Tang then said that if she win, so he have to be my boyfriend. Chu asked her what would happen if he won, and she replied that she will do whatever you want. Everyone started talking about them. Tang drove forward, crossed him, jumped to shoot, and scored her first point. Chu was surprised by her basketball skills, and everyone was convinced she was going to make him her boyfriend. She told him she wouldn't play lightly because she wanted to win the game. He challenged her to play again. This time she dribbled, drove forward, and jumped to shoot, but Chu jumped even higher and blocked her attempt. The audience was shocked to see how high he could leap. Chu then said it was his turn. Tang was determined. This time Chu drove forward, leapt, and made the shot, scoring and winning the match. Tang had lost. She asked him what she needed to do now that he had won. Chu gently pressed her cheek and asked her to go on a date with him. Everyone was happy for them, and she blushed with a smile, saying that if he wanted to date her, he would need to become even stronger. Chu wondered how she had become so proud of herself. He realized that on the day he helped Chenxi's mother, it had led to a 30% increase in his pure aura and spiritual body. Later, Chenxi asked him what he wanted as a reward for saving her mother. Chu had some silly thoughts of playing around and smiled to himself. She asked again what kind of reward he wanted and why he was smiling. He replied that it was nothing and that he needed to think it over first. While returning from school, he was thinking about how, next time, he would completely heal Chenxi's mother. After that, he could fully awaken his spiritual body, as he was progressing rapidly in this world. Suddenly a car passed by and stopped. A man stepped out and approached him. The man asked if he was Chu Qing and if it was true that he was pursuing Tang Xian. The man spat on the ground and introduced himself as Liu Wei, asking Chu if he knew who he was. Chu showed no interest and called him dumb. Frustrated, Liu Wei warned Chu not to ignore him while he was talking. He then launched a sudden attack, but Chu quickly grabbed his hand and twisted it. None of Liu Wei's security guards came to help him. Chu slammed Liu Wei's head on the ground and kicked his guards, telling him to bring more people next time if he wanted to deal with him. Liu Wei warned Chu that the Li family wouldn't let him go unharmed and mentioned that Tang Xian was going to marry him, as it was already a done deal between their families. This enraged Chu, who beat Li Wei severely. Chu then decided he needed to investigate whether this was solely Tang Xian's decision, or if there were internal issues within the Tang family, and how they could accept an arranged marriage with the Li family. He also wondered if this Liu Wei was the same person Chen Qi's mother had mentioned. Remembering Chen Qi's offer, he decided to ask her for help. He sent her a message asking for a private investigator. In response, she sent him 10,000 yuan, which confused him, but he realized he could use the money to buy information. He then called someone and asked if he was speaking to Hua Hua. On the other end, a girl responded, asking if he wanted to date her, but warned him that she wasn't cheap. Later, he went to the place where she had asked him to meet. As he waited, he pondered about the person who had sold him the information. Suddenly, someone placed a hand on his shoulder and greeted him with a casual, "Hey." It was a girl named Chen Huahua, who looked surprisingly young for her age, 23 years old. She approached him and asked what information he was looking for. Chu was taken aback, finding it hard to believe she was the broker, as she appeared much younger. She confirmed that she was indeed the broker and then asked about his relationship with Ye Chenxi, joking that if Chenxi wasn't his girlfriend, she'd offer to take her place. Chu nearly spilled his juice at her boldness and explained that he was looking for information about the Tang family. Huahua's mood shifted as she became angry and asked if Tang Xian, the girl he had played basketball with, was his girlfriend. Chu was startled by her knowledge and wondered if she had already investigated him. He warned her not to underestimate him or he would find someone else to buy the information from. Huahua, however, found him to be very serious and intriguing. She then explained that the Tang family was one of the largest and most powerful families, with their primary company serving as their principal headquarters. She mentioned that most large business corporations were owned by the Tang family. However, the family had recently encountered financial difficulties, and their status had become unstable. To resolve their issues, the Li family proposed a marriage alliance, offering to help the Tang family in exchange for Tang Xian, the Tang family heiress, marrying Li Yue. Chu was shocked by this revelation and wondered if Xian had kept these secrets from him to avoid making him feel pressured. Huahua then asked if the information was sufficient. Chu, still curious, also wanted to know more about alchemy, an ancient martial arts family, though he wasn't sure if they still existed in this world. Huahua revealed that the Tang family was one of those ancient families specializing in elixirs and medicines. Intrigued, Chu asked her to tell him everything she knew. She agreed, but started teasing him by calling him a cute, yummy little brother. Irritated, Chu shouted at her to stop behaving that way. Huahua also explained to him that there are different types of alchemy. The first type is common and involves using extraordinary internal power to prepare elixirs, which is the Tang family's specialty. The second type, however, involves mysterious spiritual power, something completely beyond her knowledge. Chu was amazed to learn about spiritual power and asked her if there was anyone else like him in this world. She responded that she had already given him 2 valuable pieces of information, which would typically cost 100,000 yuan, but she'd give him a 20% discount because she liked him. Stepping closer to him as she said this, Chu then asked if she had any information about confidential transactions, such as those involving medicinal ingredients or anything related. Huahua agreed to share that information, but only if he would go to dinner with her. Chu agreed, and they headed out together to a nearby restaurant. The staff there seemed to know her well and asked what she wanted to order. Huahua confidently ordered 20 skewers and 4 cold beers. Chu was shocked to see that women in this world liked eating pork skewers, and he noticed many women around him also enjoying pork skewers and beer. It made him realize that this world was different from the one he originally knew. As the night went on, Huahua got drunk and started to lose control. She approached Chu, tears streaming down her face, as she talked about a boy she used to like who had rejected her because she was poor. Seeing that she had completely lost her composure, Chu decided to take her home. When they arrived at her place, he was surprised to find her room in complete disarray, realizing that she struggled to manage her own life and desperately needed someone to care for her. He gently placed her on the bed, but she suddenly grabbed him and pulled him onto the bed with her. She started crying and begged him to stay with her. Feeling confused but sympathetic, he agreed to stay. Her tears turned into a happy smile as she clung to him, utterly exhausted. She soon fell asleep on his chest. Although it felt strange to him, he gently laid her down on the bed and quietly began searching for information about the Tang family on his phone. Through his research, he discovered that the Tang family was widely known for their mastery of various alchemical techniques. However, due to recent infiltrations, their status was in jeopardy. As he dug deeper, he came across a confidential document and found a picture of the Shizhen Auction House, the most important auction house in Jinmen. It was administered by an old martial arts family that possessed an incredible amount of elixirs. Chu realized that in any world, survival without money was impossible. But fortunately, he knew something that could be worth a lot in this world. A few days later, while practicing his powers on the terrace of his house, Chu thought about something known as spiritual rocks, which enhance the cultivation rhythm and aid in practicing ancient martial arts. Using his abilities, he began creating spiritual rocks by cultivating the so-called eternity, a process that absorbed the aura from the earth and sky. Since spiritual rocks didn't exist in this world, he planned to auction one off. Later, Chu visited Chenxi's house to help her mother. After completing the detoxification process, Aunt Ye Qingmei fully recovered, regaining all her strength. She expressed her deep gratitude and told him that if he ever needed help in the future, he only had to say the word. As he was leaving, he realized that by finishing the detoxification, his spiritual body had been partially released. His mission now was to cultivate as much as possible. The process was so noisy that his sister shouted at him, came to check on what he was doing. In a panic, Chu tried to hide the sword from her while simultaneously feeling nervous about being naked in front of her. Embarrassed, she quickly shut the door and left, sarcastically apologizing for interrupting his wanking session, and added that she wouldn't disturb him like that again. Once she was gone, Chu quickly put on his clothes, slipping the sword around his neck as a necklace. He decided to visit the auction house to sell the spiritual rock. When he arrived at the Shizhen auction house, it was late, and the guy at the door informed him that they were closed and to come back tomorrow. However, when Chu showed him the spiritual rock, his eyes widened in surprise at the sight of the golden yellow stone. He stood up and asked to see it more closely. As he examined it, he realized that it emanated a powerful aura, and the most amazing thing was its ability to greatly enhance cultivation. Recognizing it as a rare treasure, his attitude shifted immediately. He introduced himself as Zhai Yu, the successor of the Shizhen auction house, and they greeted each other formally. He then asked him about the name of the stone and how many he had. Chu told him it was a spiritual rock and assumed he already knew its effects. He mentioned that he had 5 of them. Zhai Yu offered him 2,000 yuan for each rock, meaning he would earn a total of 1 million yuan if he sold them all right away. As he left, Chu reflected on how the price was even higher than he had expected, realizing that the deal was well worth it. He began to consider the possibility of creating a huge business monopoly, and believed it was only a matter of time before he would dominate both the auction and martial arts worlds. On his way back, Chu received a message from Hua Hua inviting him for drinks that night. He smiled at the thought, but his moment of peace was abruptly interrupted when someone suddenly attacked him, trying to stab him. Instinctively, the sword around his neck activated, forming a powerful defensive barrier of light around him. The attacker was shocked by the power of the weapon, while Chu deftly countered with multiple slashes, injuring his assailant. Stepping closer, Chu demanded to know who had sent him. Terrified, the attacker confessed that Li Yue had hired him to kill Chu, underestimating him as just a weak student. Without hesitation, Chu finished him off, coldly remarking that Li Yue would have to retrieve his body later. Chu resolved to personally bring about Li Yue's downfall. But just as he made this decision, something strange began happening within his body. His body started boiling hot because he used it for the first time, and this stressed his current body. His vision was blurring out. His was so excess that he bumped to the wall holding his chest and regretted for going there. He was being sexually aroused. Hua Hua came to the scene. Chu became impulsive and kissed her on the forehead. She was surprised to see him like this. He started kissing her on her lips also. He was sorry and confused for being impulsive and thought this is because he killed someone today. She hugged him tightly and happily said to him not to be sorry and continue. They have had sex together while sleeping with her. He realized that he didn't want much attachment to this world, but he cannot stay alone, and the only best thing to do is to conquer the world. Next day he went to the school and was sitting on his bench with his head down. Tang Jian came to the classroom and asked for Chu. He was nervous to see her, and Si came to him and said stop sleeping and have lunch with her. He felt irritated about the women being so straightforward in this world. Tang smelled woman's scent from his body and asked about it. Chu felt awkward in front of Tang Xian, but before he could dwell on it, she brushed it off and asked him again to have lunch with her. He started to panic but agreed, relieved that she didn't seem to notice anything suspicious. He knew it would be troublesome if she found out he had spent the night at another woman's place. As they walked together, everyone around them was amazed. Why was the campus queen inviting Chu Qing to lunch? The whispers and speculation only added to Chu's unease. Curious, Chu asked Tang what made her want to have lunch with him. She simply replied that she just wanted to, with no strings attached. Then she asked to hold his hand. Chu found this confusing. She said there were no strings attached, yet here she was, confidently holding his hand. Both of them blushed, and in a moment of playful teasing, Chu pinched her cheek. Tang pulled away, surprised, and playfully scolded him, asking how he dared to pinch her. Chu laughed, teasingly asking what she would do about it. Tang realized that her upbringing as an heiress meant that every person she met or socialized with had been carefully chosen. She had never encountered someone like Chu Qing before. There was something about him that made her feel strangely secure and comfortable, yet these feelings were new and confusing to her. Her blush deepened as they continued walking. When they arrived at the restaurant, Chu ordered 2 sets of spicy rice noodles, specifically requesting one without cilantro but with extra spice and vinegar. Tang was surprised. How did he know her preferences? She wondered if he had run a background check on her. Chu noticed her blushing and asked why she was so flustered. Just then, as 2 girls passed by behind them, Chu noticed something strange. The girls seemed out of place, and he saw that they were carrying knives. As the staff called him to pick up their order, Chu observed the girls nodding to each other and discreetly drawing their knives. They were clearly preparing to attack Tang. Reacting quickly, just as the girls were about to stab Tang, Chu spilled the food he was carrying on them, disrupting their attack and creating a chaotic scene. The fight escalated quickly, and Tang Xian grew increasingly worried about Chu's safety. She urged him to leave, insisting that she was the primary target. However, Chu resolutely replied that he would never abandon his woman. Channeling his cultivation power, he charged at their attackers with determination. One of the assailants jumped to kick him, but Chu swiftly countered with a powerful punch, knocking her down. Another woman attempted a palm strike from behind, but Chu merely smiled and effortlessly slammed her away. Tang was astonished by Chu's skills and asked if he belonged to an old martial arts family. Chu responded that he wasn't, but it was complicated. He told her to consider him a freelance warrior. She was confused, but Chu reassured her that they could discuss it later. He then advised her to call her family to handle the situation, as it wasn't safe to stay there any longer. Despite being injured, Chu refused medical attention, insisting that it was just a small wound that would heal on its own. However, he also realized that these 2 assassins, though mediocre, could still hurt him, making him think about creating spirit artifacts for defense. As they walked, Tang asked if Chu knew something about her family. She also inquired whether Li Yue was bothering him. Chu dismissed the idea, claiming that someone like Li Yue wouldn't pose much of a challenge. Tang was puzzled and asked why Chu had saved her. He couldn't tell her the truth, that she was his wife in a previous life, so he made an excuse, saying that he felt like he had known her for a long time, even to the point of being willing to die for her. Tang blushed at his words. Chu continued, acknowledging that it might seem like he had ulterior motives, but he wanted her to trust him. He assured her that he could help her, knowing that her family was facing difficulties. Tang then confided that the Tang family was renowned for producing medicines and owned dozens of factories. However, their family recipe had recently been stolen, and several medicinal families had joined forces to pressure them. She also mentioned that she didn't want to marry into the Li family. Chu realized that the Li family was not only aiming to destroy the Ye family but also trying to take over the Tang family, brazenly playing with fire. He asked Tang if she believed he could solve her family's problems. He explained that it should be simple. The Tang family just needed to create a new formula for their medicines. Tang was skeptical, noting that it had taken them about 20 years to develop just over 10 formulas. Chu advised her to think about it later and mentioned that there would be an auction in 2 days. He assured her that by the time the auction ended, her family would notice him, and they could go into the details then. Suddenly, a thumping sensation hit Chu's body, startling both of them. Chu realized that the Reiki mark he had placed on Chenxi out of concern, which he thought removed. He left and told Tang that he had something urgent to deal with, so he wouldn't be returning to class. He asked Lingdong to take leave on his behalf. He then called Hua Hua, informing her that something had happened to Chenxi, and asked her to track Chenxi's phone and send him the location. Next, he called Zhai Yu. When he asked if there was another treasure for him, Chu said no, but in reality, he needed a ride from him. Zhai Yu agreed and asked for the location to pick him up. Zhai Yu made an excuse to his customers and drove out quickly to pick Chu up. After Zhai Yu picked him up, he received Chenxi's location from Hua Hua, noticing that it was on the move. He instructed Zhai to follow the location, and he sped up, determined to reach it as soon as possible. Chu spotted a van with Chenxi inside. He told Zhai to force the van to stop. Zhai skillfully maneuvered his car, stopping it in front of the van. Smoke filled the area as 2 Taoists emerged from the van. Chu was ready with his sword, while the men pointed guns at him. They fired, but Chu spun his sword, deflecting the bullets with a powerful light that knocked both men down. Chu walked towards the van and opened the door, but suddenly, another force attacked the van, causing it to explode. Chu quickly retreated as the van burst into flames. He saw 2 warriors who had attacked the van and realized that ordinary people couldn't possess such power. It was possible that this world had its own spirit cultivators. One of them said to Chu that he is young and skilled, and they offered him to join them at Quan Zhen's sect. Chu laughed at them and said he have heard about Quan Zhen's sect, but they will never produce a failures like them. Another one shouted in anger, said to his senior to stop talking and kill Chu Qing with his filthy mouth. Chu made fun on them by saying that they have limited skills, they go back to train themselves few more years to fight with him. They started boiling in anger, and one of them gathered his power and used his weapon to attack on him while saying that he dares to insult them. Chu also used his power and sword, and defended his move, which caused huge lighting effect all around when both of them collide with their weapons. The Taoist got a crack on his salamander rod, which was his weapon. He shouted on Chu that how he dares to destroy his weapon. Chu jumped up and attacked on him again with his sword. He defended himself with his weapon, and this time it broken into 2 pieces. Now with all the anger he was trying to punch him, Chu cuts his hand out from his body. The other Taoist came into this and swished his weapon to attack on him. Chu explodes and came out with the Taoist's dead body holding his neck in his hand. He said to the other Taoist that if you are cultivating, don't do nasty things here in the mortal realm. He tossed the body and said, "Is this what noble cultivators taught to do?" He roars and said he is going to kill Chu today and leaps. Chu appears at the back of him and stabbed his sword into his body. He cried and was saying something that his sister will, but was unable to continue his sentence and fell down. After that, Chu went to the van to check on Chenxi, who was unconscious inside. He gently tapped her face to wake her up. When she opened her eyes, she asked what he was doing there and mentioned that even she couldn't land a hit on the 2 senior Taoists. Chu pulled her into a hug and reassured her, saying everything was fine now. When she saw the Taoists' dead bodies, she hugged him tightly. He asked if she knew who had kidnapped her. She replied that she was certain it was the Li family, with whom they weren't on good terms. She explained that the Li family had recently declared war, but every time they fought, mysterious masters would appear to help the Li family, forcing them to retreat. Chu recognized that the Li family must have formed an alliance with Taoists training in the deep mountains. These masters were abnormal, incredibly strong, and their movements were impossible to predict. Chenxi, nervous, assured him that she wasn't underestimating anyone. Chu understood that the situation was not looking good for the Ye family. Chenxi, frustrated, added that many small families had also been causing trouble for them. Chu realized this might be related to the auction happening in 2 days, which explained why the ancient martial arts families were so active recently. There was a high chance that a treasure might appear. Chenxi, happy with this realization, kissed him and called him her lucky star. She then asked him to come to her place to inform her mother about what had happened. Chu patted her head and agreed to go. They both went to Chenxi's house, where her mother was sitting with 2 other members of the family. Chenxi's mother was pleased to see Chu Qing and invited him to sit down. However, Chenxi's elder sister shouted, asking how her mother could allow an outsider to join their secret meeting, especially since he was a man. Chu calmly replied that he hadn't come there to participate in their secret meeting. He refused to participate in the meeting. Chenxi's mother said that he is careless. She wanted to use this opportunity to fix his marriage with Chenxi. Chu showed them a spiritual rock and said he came here to talk about the business. Mother's elder sister dragged that stone and caught it. She called it just a random stone. Chu told her that he made it himself, a spiritual stone, and told that they can feel its flow while exercising the internal body strength. Chenxi's mother took that stone and concentrates on it. She felt something so hard. She asked him that how much he have this right now. As long as the price is reasonable, she wants every bit of it. He told her that is not for sale directly. There will be an auction in 2 days, and the price of the stone will be standardized there. And if they want to buy them, they can come to him anytime and he will give him discount considering his relationship with Chenxi. There was something extra he wanted to give them. He made a talisman that provides protection and another that boosts combat strength for a short amount of time. They shocked to hear about that and asked how much strength does it increases. He answered that it increases 30% strength. Chenxi's mother asked him that how much time it will take and what will be the price. He told him that it's easy to make a talisman, and he only needs a few days. Also, it's not for profit, so they can set the price. However, the elixirs will take 1 week, and he will supply the first batch to them, and they will decide the price later. Chenxi's aunt asked him why he is helping them. He replied it's because Chenxi is his friend. Chenxi was his tears. She said she was messing around with him at the beginning, but now she realized they have become friends, and he have been helping her and her family ALT. He didn't expected that his life would be this much interesting here in this world. He wanted to set up his own business empire at Jinmen after the auction, and with the help of Ye family spreading his name. After that, he returned back to his home. He saw that his family was sitting with a lady who was his second aunt, Chu Qingge. He said hi to her with fake smile and said that have never heard about any of his relatives before. Aunt told him that she came here to talk about his arranged marriage. Chu amazed and said why arranged marriage, he is just 17. It's not a legal age to get married. He told her that he was still in college and that marriage could wait until after his graduation. She blew out a puff of smoke and dismissed him, saying that a small boy like him attending college was a waste of money. His aunt then asked his mother about her sister Chu Xiao, and his mother replied that she was at home. Chu realized that Chu Xiao must have come home late last night and was still in bed. His aunt called them uneducated. His father stood up and went to make tea, and Chu noticed the frustration on his father's face, making him want to confront his aunt. His aunt then suggested to his mother that if she agreed to marry Chu off to the Liu family's son from Haishi, they would face fewer struggles. Chu, now furious, slammed his hand on the table and said with aggression that she was nothing more than an annoying fly. She stood up, declaring that she was not welcome there and that she would leave, but not before demanding that he show some respect and give an explanation to the family. As she prepared to leave, she warned him to enjoy his remaining college days because he would be married soon. Chu defiantly asked why he should listen to her. She replied that it wasn't up to him to decide, and that all he had to do was marry a rich woman to ensure a comfortable future for his family. Chu sarcastically asked if she was selling herself out, then insulted her by saying he wasn't as cheap as she was, and told her to sell her legs instead. Enraged, his aunt told his mother to take him to a psychiatrist to find out why he had such evil thoughts. Chu, fed up, went to his room and closed the door. He then called Chenxi and asked for a favor. In response, Chenxi sent 3 women to his aunt's place. When they found her, they asked Chenxi if she only wanted her legs. Chenxi coldly instructed them to take her kidney as well. Meanwhile, Chu was on his terrace, concentrating on his skills as he crafted more spiritual stone pendants. As he shaped one of the stones, he thought about how the situation in Jinmen had become more stable, but issues with his mother's side of the family were still causing problems. Fortunately, he still had time to create protective artifacts for his family and friends. Using a knife, he skillfully shaped the stones with his powers, surrounded by a lighting effect as he worked. He realized that the quality of the jade pendant Jai had bought from him was quite good. It could store a defensive sword array and alert him immediately if the wearer was in danger. After finishing his work, Chu joined his parents for lunch. His father encouraged him to study hard. Chu, confused, assured them that he understood and told them not to worry about him. He added that he would deal with the issues caused by his mother's family. His father, however, told him there was no need to do that. They didn't mind as long as he was happy. Chu then revealed that he had prepared something for them and showed them 3 pendants, one for his father, one for his mother, and one for his sister. His parents were delighted, and father asked where he had gotten the pendants, noting that they felt warm and comforting. Chu made an excuse, saying he got them from a high priest at a temple. The scene then shifted to his school classroom, where the teacher was teaching. However, Chu was lost in thought, reflecting on how his mortal body couldn't handle multiple nights of artifact making without rest. Exhausted, he fell asleep in the classroom. Song Chaoran, a fellow student, tried to wake him up. When the teacher noticed, she slammed her hand on the table, startling Chu awake. She asked him to stand up and go to the board to answer a question. Chu stood up but was initially unsure of what to do. Then he remembered that Song Chaoran had taught him how to solve this problem. He quickly wrote down all the answers on the board, put the chalk down, and said he was done. The class buzzed with amazement, wondering how he could have solved the problem even after sleeping through the lecture. The teacher acknowledged that Chu was prepared but reminded him that it didn't give him the right to sleep in class, and she sent him out of the classroom as a consequence. Although Chu was nervous, he realized that, as a failing student in his previous life, he had never been treated like this. The teacher, noticing that he didn't have any particular role in the classroom, decided to make him the class representative. Annoyed, Chu walked with his head down, thinking about starting the talismans he had promised to the Ye family. Each talisman could block 1 lethal attack for the wearer, and he estimated their safe price at around 30,000. He wondered how many he could make in such a short period of time. Just then, his best friend tapped him on the shoulder and asked if he was sleeping in the classroom. Startled, the sword in Chu's hand nearly exploded. His friend jokingly asked if he was playing with fire in the classroom. Chu blew on the sword again to calm it down, ensuring it wasn't broken. He then handed the wooden sword to his friend, telling him that it would protect him from disasters, but not to tell anyone about it. His friend was thrilled to receive the sword, and in return, offered Chu a half-full bottle of cola. Chu pinched him and shouted in mock frustration. His friend apologized and mentioned that he had something important to discuss with him. He informed Chu that there would be a school sports event in 2 days, and asked if Chu was planning to participate. Chu replied that he wasn't interested because he was busy. However, his friend revealed that a video of Chu was already online, so even if he refused, the teacher would likely make him participate anyway. Plus, since it was their last year, his friend suggested they create some good memories. Reluctantly, Chu agreed to participate, much to his friend's delight, as he had placed a bet with someone and was eager to claim his prize. Just then, a girl named Ling Wanner entered the classroom. Everyone was surprised to see her, as she was the school idol known for her singing and piano playing. She approached Chu and mentioned that he had become quite famous, and she couldn't believe he had defeated Tang Jian on the field. Chu modestly replied that he had been in top condition that day. Ling Wanner then asked him to guess who would be hosting a gathering event with their middle school friends. Chu immediately answered, Zhuo Bukun. Ling was surprised and asked how he knew. Chu explained that Zhuo was the type of person who loved being in the spotlight, so it was obvious he would be the host. Ling invited Chu to the gathering, and he agreed to join. She was pleased and playfully pinched his cheek, commenting that he looked more handsome now, which was probably why Tang Jian had fallen head over heels for him. Chu was annoyed by her behavior. His friend, noticing the interaction, asked when he had gotten so close to Ling Wanner. Chu explained that they had been in the same primary and middle school. His friend, in awe, mentioned that she was his goddess, and begged Chu to get her signature for him. Annoyed, Chu punched him lightly on the face and asked why he didn't ask her himself. His friend confessed that he had never even spoken to her, and that just spending one day with her would be enough to make him pass out from happiness. With a sigh, Chu left the classroom. He made his way to Tang Jian, who was struggling with her homework. She told him that she had spent her entire afternoon trying to solve a particular question. Chu began to teach her, explaining the problem that he had already solved in class. His method was simple and easy to understand. Soon, other students gathered around, asking him for help with the same problem. Chu, however, said he didn't have time and quickly pulled Tang Jian by the hand, telling her to come with him as he had something for her. They went to the school playground. Chu placed a pendant in her hand and told her to wear it all the time. Tang Jian looked at the pendant, finding it beautiful and precious, and hesitated, saying she didn't need such a gift. Chu insisted she keep it, explaining that it had magic and would keep her safe. Blushing, she held his hand and thanked him sincerely. Chu returned to his classroom, relieved that no one was there to bother him while he made more swords. He managed to craft 30 swords by the time the bell rang, carefully placing them all in his bag. Now, he needed to visit Chenxi and see what price she would offer him for his work. Just as he was about to leave, his friend tapped him on the shoulder again, asking if he wanted to hang out with them. Chu asked where they planned to go, and his friend replied with a grin that it was somewhere exciting. He refused to go with his friends and left the classroom, heading straight to Chenxi's house. As soon as he arrived, Chenxi ran up to him and hugged him tightly. She was overjoyed to see him, as she had been feeling bored. Noticing a strange smell, she teasingly asked if he had been with another woman. Chu shook his head and assured her that he didn't have time for that, explaining that he was there for business. He handed her the pendant, telling her it was a gift and that it was free. Curious, she asked what it was. In response, Chu threw a glass toward her. The pendant activated its protective power, causing the glass to disintegrate before it could reach her. Chu explained that the pendant was for protection and would automatically trigger when needed, making it far superior to any usual protection charm. Thrilled, Chenxi jumped on him, playfully declaring that he was way too good. The force of her jump caused Chu to fall over. She then warned him not to think that this gift would give him a free pass to fool around with other women. Smirking, Chu gently pushed her off and told her he had more business to attend to elsewhere, reassuring her that she didn't need to worry. Next, Chu went to Huahua's apartment. Finding the door unlocked, he entered and saw her asleep, tears still on her face from a bad dream. He woke her gently, and as soon as she saw him, she hugged him tightly, crying about how she had dreamed of her mother leaving her again. She pleaded with him not to leave her without notice. Chu's thoughts wandered to the possibility that he might one day have to return to his own world, but he quickly pushed the thought aside. He reassured Huahua that she had nothing to worry about and promised that he would never leave her. Relieved, she wiped away her tears and, smiling, warned him not to dare leave her. Otherwise, she would kiss him and then bite him to death. He spent time with her. When she fell asleep, he decided it would be better to go home for the weekend. He knew if his dad found out he was away, it would cause trouble. As he was leaving, he noticed her computer screen. Curious, he checked it and saw information about Jinmin ancient martial arts. He blushed, realizing she had gone out of her way to compile all this information for him. He placed the pendant beside her and kissed her forehead. As he stepped outside, his phone rang. It was his dad, who sounded serious and asked where he was. His dad told him that his mom was on her way to pick him up. Nervously, he told his dad he was near Baijiao Market. Shortly after, his mom arrived. He remarked on how fast she got there, and she replied that she had been nearby. His mom then asked where he had been and mentioned she could smell women's perfume on him. Feeling guilty, he explained that he had been at a friend's birthday party where everyone was present. His mom told him that birthday parties were fine, but he shouldn't be alone with a woman. She then lit up a cigarette. Surprised, he said he thought she had quit smoking. She replied that she was just trying to cover the scent of perfume on him, warning that if his dad found out, it would be hell for him. He thanked his mom and received a message that the Ye family had paid him 1.2 million just for the talisman. He thought to himself that if producing a few otherworldly objects could earn him this much, manufacturing those elixirs would be incredibly profitable. He imagined he could single-handedly build a business empire from this. His mom whispered in his ear to let her know if he ever caught his dad smoking again. He nodded in agreement. He then texted Jia Yu, saying he had something for him and asked if he was free. Jia Yu replied yes, so they met up, and Chu gave him one of the pendants. Jia Yu asked why he was giving him such a precious treasure. Chu told him not to worry about it, and said he'd save his breath from explaining. Jia Yu was happy and thanked him. He told Chu that this was the first time someone had treated him wholeheartedly and wanted to be his friend. Chu asked him what made him say that. Jia Yu told him that he grew up with his dad, and back then, they only had each other. It wasn't until middle school that his father told him that his mother was part of a powerful family. After that, he was taken away to live with his mother and transferred to a school for the rich. The students there looked at him with disdain. One girl even asked if he was a child out of wedlock. Jia Yu continued, saying that although they might have given him a chance to prove himself, their piercing gazes never changed. Chu said that while he didn't have a similar experience, he also didn't have a comfortable life. He then told Jia Yu that his mother also came from a powerful family, and that her family didn't like his dad, so his parents ran away together. Recently, his mother's family had found them and pressured his parents to marry him off to a rich woman who was at least 200 kilograms. Jia Yu started laughing so hard that he couldn't stop himself, just as Chu had expected he would. Jia Yu was really happy that day and wanted to drink through the night, refusing to let Chu go until they were both drunk. They drank so much that Chu could hardly walk up the stairs to his house. As he approached, he saw his sister trying to sneak in through the door. He tapped her on the shoulder, and she got scared and shouted. He quickly put his hand over her mouth, but she noticed the smell of alcohol. She teased him, saying that a young man like him who drank until midnight wouldn't be able to marry a rich girl. Suddenly she fainted and fell into his arms. He took her inside and put her on her bed. Feeling nauseous, he collapsed on the bed beside her. As he did, his hand accidentally landed on her chest, which felt soft and ticklish. She whispered, "Xiaofeng, come on, don't be shy." Startled, he opened his eyes and asked who Xiaofeng was. She tried to kiss him, but he shouted and jumped off the bed. Realizing that alcohol was definitely not for him, he swore he would never drink again. The next day, he went to a clothing showroom to buy clothes for a reunion. Everyone there was talking about how handsome and good-looking he was, saying he could make a debut with his looks. He told the salesperson that he wanted all the clothes he had tried on to be delivered to his house. Now, he needed a car so he wouldn't have to keep bothering Jia Yu. As he was about to leave, a boy called out to him from behind and asked if he recognized his old classmate. He recognized that he was Zhou Bu-kun. He asked Zhou why he went out shopping when he usually liked to stay at home. He then invited him to the class reunion he had prepared. Zhou said he would come and mentioned that it had been 2 days since Lin Wan told him about it. He also said he would wait for him that night. Zhou was annoyed. Everyone was gossiping about him, saying he only changed his underwear once a week. A girl approached him and said he seemed like a virgin based on his expression. Another joked that while he might look like a virgin, he was actually a pervert inside. Chu realized it was Zhou Bu-kun who spread these lies about him. Chu went out and was walking along the road when he heard a vendor announcing that it was the 10th anniversary of their shop, and all cars were on discount. He was amazed to hear about cars since he was thinking about buying one. He went over and the seller showed him a car. He didn't like the red sports car because it was too small for him. He asked if there was something more manly and less feminine. Eventually he found a black car he liked. People around were whispering that a kid buying a car must have someone rich taking care of him. Chu felt bad about the assumption that if a young boy had money, it was because someone wealthy gave it to him without him working for it. He then got ready and went to the location, which was the place where he and Jai often ate. He opened the door and went inside where everyone was having fun, playing, and eating. He tried to stay calm because he needed to get used to this kind of situation. He went to a table and sat with Tang. He asked her about Lin Wan, who had invited him there. She replied, asking how he could understand her problems, and mentioned that since Chu had shown up dressed like that, Zhou Bu-kun would lose the bet he made. He had bet that Chu would come in his school uniform, and if he lost, he would treat everyone to meals for a week. Chu commented on his lack of common sense, noting that despite seeing him buy new clothes, he still made the bet. At that moment, Zhou Bu-kun was standing right behind him. Tang said that Zhou might have thought Chu wouldn't buy anything. Chu shouted out to Zhou Bu-kun and said he knew Zhou would be treating everyone to meals for a week and told him not to forget about him. Zhou responded, saying that of course next week everyone present would have their meals at the school canteen on him. Everyone was happy to hear this, but Zhou was frustrated with Chu Qing. Tang remarked that Zhou was smart, minimizing costs by limiting the meals to the school canteen for a week. Chu said that Zhou started the bet and lost, so he should pay up. Everyone was enjoying themselves. Zhou then announced that the students from the first and second years of middle school would be preparing for the Olympic Games, and he was planning to form a male basketball team. Since enough people had expressed interest, he wanted Chu Qing to join the team. Chu replied that he was not interested. Tang, frustrated with Zhou, said, "Why did you say Chu plays a little basketball? Everyone knows he beat me. Are you saying he don't know how to play properly?" Zhuo responded in no, as he didn't say such. Tang then said, "Whether they're making a team or not, she don't care. But games and sports are tied to the school's honor. We must put our problems aside and win." Zhuo replied that he don't have any problem. It's Chu Qing who does. Tang asked Chu what he thought about the situation. He said he thought it was perfect, then asked her to open her mouth as he wanted to feed her with his own hand. Tang blushed happily and took the bite. Zhuo felt jealous seeing this. Tang asked Chu to join the basketball team. He said he would join if she wanted him to, but only on one condition. She had to kiss him. She agreed and asked for a French kiss. They kissed, and Tang told him that since he had accepted, he must win, promising a very special reward. Everyone cheered for them, teasing Tang that now she had a boyfriend, she must invite them to something. She agreed and invited everyone. Chu then invited them all for dessert at a nearby restaurant. Everyone was happy and told Tang that she had a generous boyfriend and that it was natural she wouldn't see any other boy now. She asked Chu if he was sure about inviting them. He told her to calm down, reminding her that she was his girlfriend now and he wouldn't disappoint her. She joked that he could become more famous than a girl. Zhuo was very annoyed. This meeting was meant to be about him, and he thought he would be the center of attention. But Chu had prepared himself well. People were enjoying and having their dessert. Lin Wan entered. Zhuo asked her if she finished her job. She replied yes, she had something important to do. Lin waved at Chu Qing and went to him, and she was happy that he came. He said to her that it's very bad to keep him waiting. She told him that she had recorded a video and she didn't have a choice, but she tried to come as soon as possible. They were talking with each other and Zhuo was jealous to see this. One boy said that pianist is unable to come and asked Zhu Bu-kun to play for them. Zhuo said that he had passed level 6 piano exam, playing at his own. Also, he asked Lin Wan to show her dance. She had no problem in it. Lin pointed towards Chu and said her dance will be dedicated to her best friend. Everyone around there started cheering that Chu is so lucky he have the love of two goddesses at the same time, and they supported them. Annoyed, Zhuo started playing piano and Lin Wan was dancing smoothly. Chu said to Tang that the kid plays piano very well. She asked him about Lin Wan dance. He understands that Tang is feeling jealous. Tang was feeling irritated and said that why he is not looking at her dance. She is dancing for her, he should not disappoint her. Both were talking and laughing. Zhuo saw him having fun with Tang. He thought that the girl he likes is dancing for him, yet he is talking to another girl. Zhuo shouted on Chu saying that does he know what respect means. Chu replied that whether he play piano or not, it's his choice. So whether he listen to his play or not, it's his choice. He shouldn't rush himself. Zhuo told him that he don't care if he is giving him attention or not. But what about Lin Wan? She is dancing for him. Chu stands up, waved at Lin Wan and had his drink. Lin Wan was smiling at him and continued to dance. Zhuo angrily shouted on him again that why he is laughing and asked that does he know the rules of watching the show. Chu said that the song he is playing is mediocre and the music he play while whistling is much better, and if he would play like that he would cut his hand at his own. Zhuo said that Chu would regret saying that and get onto his knees to apologize. Chu Qing declared that if Zhuo lost, he would have to bet his hands. Zhuo was shocked. Chu began whistling, and everyone started enjoying the performance. They were amazed by the song, which felt like being in a garden. It was a divine melody that Chu had learned when he was transitioning to a deity in his past life. It was the first time they had heard such a beautiful song, and Zhuo Bu-kun was in trouble. Chu Qing stood in front of Zhuo like a menacing figure, making Zhuo afraid. Suddenly Lin blocked his way and stopped him. Chu asked if she wanted him to forgive Zhuo. Tang then intervened, saying that they were all colleagues and Chu should not scare Zhuo like that. Otherwise, there would be consequences. Influenced by the song's wrath, Chu momentarily forgot he was not in heaven. He saw a knife on the table and picked it up. Zhuo was terrified when he saw the knife in Chu's hand. In his fear, Zhuo fell down as Chu threw the knife towards him. Chu told Zhuo that he was no longer someone easily bullied, and that Zhuo needed to remember that. Trembling, Zhuo said that Chu was being a bit too harsh. Chu asked what Zhuo had lost and if, even if Zhuo begged, Chu would let him go. Chu stated that he only kneels in front of his parents and that Zhuo was not important enough for him to kneel for. Chu said he no longer wanted to see Zhuo. Scared, Zhuo fled, and everyone else was frightened as well. Chu told them that the annoying person was gone, so they could now enjoy themselves. Tang commented that it was getting harder for her to understand him day by day. After all the party ended and Chu was in his car, he notices that he was smelling like a beer, so he can't go back to his home like this. He called his sister and said that he is not going to home and she must take care of their parents and make excuse for him. She said will not lie for him. He replied that if she will help him, he's going to pay her later. Now she agreed to do so. Then he knew that Hua Hua will definitely awake this time, so he went to her apartment. He saw that her door was open. He opens the door and saw a man was holding her hand forcefully. They saw each other and the man asked to Hua Hua that who he. Chu pulled her toward him and said that Hua Hua is his girlfriend and asked who he is. The man aid that he is her father and she owes him 3 million yuan. Could he pay it? Hua Hua shouted on his saying not to lie. He is the one who owes her 3 million. He must go and gamble with that money. Her father said that it doesn't matter if he is owing her. She is his daughter. She must pay him. She shouted on him and threw her card on his face and said him not to come back. He said that it's not enough. He will ask her boyfriend for the rest. She said that he don't have money. He is just a student. Her father called her shameless that she is seducing a student now and said that the boy must be using him for her money to live. She said that if he would have money, he would not notice her. Her father grabbed her hand and told her to break up with him if he don't have money, and he will find her a rich boyfriend who is not underage. He then said that if he will sell her body, she won't suffer much. She just have to go along with rich people for one night and don't have to marry them. Chu again pulled her with him and said to her father that he will give him 3 million, but he should cut his relationship with her and never disturb her again. Her father was happy to hear this and asked, "That is he serious?" Hua Hua was stopping him to do that. He said she don't need to worry, he can handle this. Her father was greedy, and he said that now 3 million isn't enough, he wants 5 million. Hua Hua shouted on him. Chu asked her to sign a document that he is ending his father-daughter relationship with her, and he will give him that money right now. He said no, he was only willing to accept that he will not search her anymore. She said that whatever he is going to write is his problem, but when the night ends and he couldn't sell her, the deal is off. He started panic and said, "Where are the papers? He is ready to sign." Chu gave him the papers, he signed on it and asked for the money. Chu said that there's no need to rush, and he picked up a cup, converted it into a weapon, and threw towards him. Her father was shocked to see his power and got injured by that. Chu warned him that he will send money to his account, but he must not dare to bother her again, otherwise he have a lot of ways to torture and silence a person without anyone knowing. He agrees and left. Hua Hua hugged him and said she will pay back those 5 million to him. He said that she don't need to worry. It's just penny on him. She had tears in her eyes and kissed her. Then they slept together. Next morning when Chu opened his eyes, he saw her looking at him and asked why she woke up so early. She asked him to get up and wash himself. She have something to show him. Hua Hua made breakfast for Chu, feeling happy and radiant. Chu was surprised by how caring she was being and asked why she was behaving this way. She replied that it was because she didn't want to lose him. He reassured her, saying she didn't need to worry about that and should just be herself. While she was washing the dishes, he noticed how motivated she seemed, but he also realized his back was aching. He then received a message saying the problem had been solved. He thanked the sender, promising to return the favor as soon as possible and not forget about it. Shortly after, he received another message from Tang, asking him to come to the basketball club after class. Chu went to the school playground and saw that the boys were flustered and unable to even catch the ball properly. Tang was sitting nearby, so he approached her and asked if the boys were playing basketball or just trying to catch the ball because they wouldn't play well this way. She replied that they couldn't reach the girls' level and that the best players from other schools were facing the same challenge. Changing the subject, she asked him what he had been working on. Ku mentioned he had developed a new medicinal formula. He showed her a piece of paper and explained that he had a formula that could aid mages in upgrading their magic. Tang asked him how he could trust her so much and if he wasn't afraid she might steal the formula and run away. He told her that he just wanted to help her and didn't care about the money. She confessed that she was really falling in love with him. Chu jokingly asked if that meant she hadn't liked him before. She admitted that previously, she only found him interesting. Then she kissed him. Just then, a basketball came toward them, and Chu stopped it. He told her it was all her fault. She had a fan club, and they didn't support the idea of them being together. She shouted at the boys and, as a punishment, ordered them to run 50 laps around the court. The scene then shifted to Chu's house, where he was studying. His mother came in and sat down with him. She said she wanted to ask him something, and then asked if there was any girl he liked. He replied nervously that yes, there was someone, but asked why she was suddenly bringing it up. She said that the girl must be from an influential family, noting it wasn't surprising that the Ye family had been helping her company lately. She assured him that she didn't care if he married someone he loved, and that she didn't want to hide anything from him. She revealed that the aunt he had met a few days ago was actually her half-sister, and that there were 7 or 8 members in her family. She mentioned that her second aunt had been in an accident, causing a delay in their plans, but their family wasn't going to abandon the matter. She felt powerless and unable to do anything to protect him. Chu asked why the family couldn't just behave in a friendly manner. She then asked him if he wanted to marry Chenxi to avoid an arranged marriage, and if he knew about the National University. He replied that he did, acknowledging it as one of the strongest forces in the country. She explained that if he wanted to avoid an arranged marriage and shape his own destiny, he needed to get into that university. With his admission, the Chu family would not dare to oppose the university's authorities. He said he would try his best to get in. Chu knew that the National University held a very special status in the world. It had strong foundational circles and provided extensive resources to the empire, possessing a wealth of information. He wanted to uncover the secrets of that world, believing the cultivation level there was the same as in the fairy world. While cultivating and researching about the National University, Chu was also crafting a sword. He was amazed to see how the sword was changing, realizing that if the rust on the sword didn't disappear, the consequences could be unimaginable. He knew he needed to find a bowl as soon as possible to hide it. Suddenly his phone rang. It was Jai, shouting at him for not attending the auction as he had reminded him multiple times. Chu remembered that he had received Jai's message while he was in the classroom but had fallen asleep. He thought about looking for spiritual material made from godly gold that would be suitable for making a sheath for his sword. He then went to Shijin auction house, where he saw Jai with her family. Chu suspected that the Jai family wanted him to be associated with some well-known women. As he walked in, he noticed that people around him were mocking him, questioning how someone like him could participate in such an auction and making derogatory comments about him. He replied to them, "This is the Jai family's place, and they will lose their reputation if they realize what kind of people you all are." One of the women came up to hit him, but he grabbed her hand and said he hadn't intended to speak that way. She was the one who started it, and twisted her arm. The others were frightened and started calling for security. Jai arrived on the scene, saying that Chu was like a brother to him, and that trying to shame Chu was the same as trying to shame the Jai family. He told the group that they would be banned from the Shijin auction house from now on. They began begging and apologizing, saying they didn't know. Jai apologized to Chu for the poor reception. Jai then asked him if his mom was a member of the Chu family in the imperial capital. Chu confirmed that she was. Jai informed him that his aunt had lost a leg and a kidney, and someone from the Chu family had come to buy that information. He mentioned that Chu, his relatives, and others were involved. Chu asked who committed the murder, but Jai said there were no leads and the investigation was still ongoing. Chu became really worried, realizing he didn't fully understand the Chu family's status in the imperial capital. Just then, Chenxi and her mother arrived, and Chu was happy to see them. Aunt Ye mentioned she had heard Chu would be taking the exam to join the university, and advised him to study hard. Chu understood that she was concerned about his relationship with Jai, and assured her not to worry. Chenxi nudged her mother to go ahead as she had something to say to Chu Qing. She hugged him, clearly delighted to see him again. Jai reminded them that the auction would start soon, and that they should go inside. Chu told him not to take Aunt Ye's words too seriously. Jai reassured him that he wasn't, and that Aunt Ye cared about him because she saw him as her favorite son-in-law. He then suggested they go to the room first. Chenxi asked Chu if the spiritual stone he mentioned would really appear at the auction. He confirmed that it would and that he had 5 of them. He offered her milk tea while he poured wine for himself, forgetting that women in this world preferred alcoholic drinks. Chenxi said that if he didn't like seeing her drink, she could stop. He replied that he didn't mind. She pulled him closer and said they should drink as much as they wanted, just the 2 of them. He caught a whiff of her perfume and realized she genuinely wanted to be intimate with him. She said she had bought maid clothes and bunny ears, just like he had asked for last time, and teased that he could imagine her wearing them. Suddenly she pushed him down and climbed on top of him, making him incredibly nervous. He found her really sexy. Her body was in his hands, and her physique was tempting him. She pulled him closer and kissed him. Just then, Jai opened the door and walked in, quickly apologizing for the intrusion. He closed the door and told them to continue, but Chenxi told Chu to forget it and suggested they carry on with what they were doing. Chu gently pushed her away and said the auction would start shortly and that they could continue next time. She asked if he was embarrassed now. He replied that if Jai hadn't interrupted them, he would have made her feel completely defenseless. Jai was standing outside the door, and when he came back in, he apologized again for disturbing them, saying he had to hand over some information. He gave them a list of all the items in the auction. Chu looked through it but saw nothing made of spiritual golden material from the gods that could help free his sword. However, he noticed there was a piece of meteorite on the list. It was very small, but Jai warned him not to underestimate it. It was so dense that it contained hundreds of kilograms inside, and if ordinary guns were made from this material, they could be transformed into magical weapons. He mentioned that the meteorite was still so hot that when he studied it, he almost got burned. Chu suggested that it could be turned into a pan that gathers energy and is pollution-free, which made Chenxi laugh. Jai took the list from Chu's hand and remarked that Chu's expectations were too high, then showed it to Chenxi to see if there was anything she wanted. She pointed out an old wine jar, saying the wine inside had aged for many years, and drinking it would exponentially increase one's strength. Chu asked if she wanted it. She said no, explaining that since everyone was after it, even if she got it, she wouldn't be able to protect it. Chu realized it wasn't the wine that mattered, but the bowl it was stored in. This was the material he had been searching for. Jai told them that if they begged, he might reluctantly take them to see the real item. Chu got up and thought that if the bronzer pot was truly a spirit material, he would need to consider it seriously. Chu was surprised to see that the auction had started, with Tang Xian calling for 100 million. They announced a bid of 100 million once for the Tang family's elixir formula. Chu inquired about who was auctioning off the Tang family's recipe and asked if it was the Li family. Jai explained that this was part of the Tang family's internal struggles. He left the room and saw Chenxi sneaking a drink. Feeling awkward, Chenxi apologized and said she couldn't stop herself, but if it bothered him, she would avoid it in the future. Annoyed, Chu asked if she cared about anything other than fooling around with men. She touched his forehead, noted that his temperature was fine, but remarked that he seemed like a different person. She asked what was wrong with thinking about relationships and if he didn't care about them at all. Chu reminded her of a time when he had asked her to teach a lesson to a woman and her mother had ended up killing that woman. Chenxi didn't believe that her mother had done that. Chu urged her to consider that, as the heir of the Ye family, her mother had not given her any real power. After Aunt Ye was assaulted and nearly died, Chenxi had sensed danger and been let in on family matters. He pointed out that she didn't know much about her own family and didn't seem to care about the turmoil within the Tang family. He asked her what she would do if she became the head of her family and faced similar problems. Chenxi said he sounded like her mother, and that if he kept speaking like this, he wouldn't be cute anymore. Chu shouted at her, trying to explain that he didn't want her to be someone who died without truly understanding herself. He would have to handle the funeral and seek revenge if necessary. All of this seemed annoying to her. She was certain he would not leave her, but he insisted that he could ignore her if needed. Despite her confidence, he was resolute in his stance. Chu sat on the sofa, thinking about what she had said and feeling completely irritated by her. Jai then came in to inform him that his 5 pieces had made 5 million, and after the 2 million commission, he would receive 3 million. Jai asked if he wanted the amount in cash or as credit. Chu asked about the final buyer of Chongjiang. Jai said he knew the buyer, but couldn't disclose their identity due to auction rules. Chu apologized for asking, clarifying that his interest was in the bronzer container, not Chongjiang. Jai was surprised and wondered if the bronzer container might be a treasure he had misjudged. He thought he knew Chuqing well, but Chu remained a mystery. Jai was amazed to see him laughing while saying that the bronze pot is a treasure but useless to him. He said that he shouldn't be using his level of expertise on him. Chu stood up and started to leave. Jai asked why he was leaving so soon, as he wanted to take him to a good place. Chu said that he had to go home, finish his assignment, and attend classes the next day. He smiled and said that he had forgotten that he was still a student. Chu got into his car to go home and hoped that his father hadn't found out that he was out. But he was happy because he had done what he had planned for the auction. He thought that if he got the pot, the sheath problem would be solved. Next, all he needed was to form an alliance similar to the auction house or the Ye family. After all, he was no longer a solo swordsman with no attachment to this world. He had family, friends, and people he loved. For them, he had to fight to build his own kingdom in this world. As he was driving back, he saw a construction sign on the road, but there was no construction when he passed by the auction. He noticed a thunderstorm and a powerful, murderous aura and went to hide in the grass. He saw some people standing there, including a girl in a purple robe whose aura was stronger than the others. An old lady told her that the item had been bought at the auction by them, and the girl was planning to commit murder just to get it. They said they had heard about it from Ye Chenxi. It was found that the police were unable to control the ancient martial artists, so the government set up the Jianwu department to keep them in check. A messenger from Jianwu said that the martial artists had abused their power to take away the belongings of their country and asked if they had no shame. The old lady said that the police in the purple robe did not look like they had the authority and questioned where her judgment order was. Chu understood that the judgment order was the token required to take action from the Jianwu department. The girl laughed at her and prepared to attack. The old lady was so frightened that she struck them immediately. The girl killed all of them and went to the car. Chu was nervous to see that she had killed all 6 of them in the blink of an eye. The girl took out the bronze pot from the car. Chu was surprised to see that it was the same one from the auction. The girl recognized him and demanded that he show himself. Chu emerged and nervously said that he was just passing by. She said she believed him, put the pot back into the car, and suddenly attacked him, saying that he had to die. He caught her hand, drew his sword, and remarked that it was not appropriate for a woman to be so irritable. He struck the ground with the sword, sending her into the air. She then jumped and kicked him in the face. He punched her back and the woman fell down, injured. He told her that she would have to do more if she wanted to silence him. The woman shouted if he wanted to die. She stood up and pulled out a gun, holding it in her hand. The murderous aura was terrifyingly strong. She aimed the gun at him and began shooting. He created a protective seal around himself to deflect the bullets and blast. The woman thought he was dead and went back to the car to retrieve the pot. Chu then stabbed her from behind. The girl was shocked that he hadn't died. The woman fell down, dead. After that, as he was absorbing the powers, he was attacked on his shoulders from back. He thought that the bullet's murderous aura was overwhelming, he started sealing it away through his powers. He was having pain while doing this, but it doesn't work, and if he would manage to seal it, it would break loose and try to kill him soon after. The gun seems to be normal, but the aura was stored within the bullets. The bullets were specifically designed to deal with martial artists. The scene then shifted to the Hua Hua apartment where she was working on her computer. Chu opened her door and fell down. He was completely injured. She was bothering that what had happened to him and asked to take him to the hospital. He told her not worry, he is not going to die, and asked to cut the rotting flesh out of the wound. She put him in the bed, took the knife, but she trembles and was unable to do that. She said that Ye Chenxi can do it surely. Chenxi came and was ready to it. Hua Hua was so scared. Chenxi asked for the knife, she gave it to her. Chenxi started doing it, and Chu was screaming out of pain. Chenxi said to him that he get himself into so much trouble and can't even tolerate this much pain. She did it all. Chu took heavy breathing. Hua Hua was bothering about him and asked him, that is he feeling better now? Chenxi said her not to worry, he is fine. It was really awkward for Chu that Hua Hua was scared to hurt him and called Chenxi to do it. Chenxi asked Hua Hua to go and get some water for Chu. She went out, Chenxi closed the door and angrily asked to Chu that does he was hanging out with Hua Hua behind her back. Chu was scared, and asked her that she is allowed to have multiple men by her side, but why can't he have multiple women? Chenxi asked, that does it mean that if she would look out for other men, he wouldn't care? Chu became serious and said that she is allowed to do that whether he accepts it or not. Chenxi shouted on him, calling him double standard. Chu said to her that this society is unfair to begin with, and if she can't accept that she can leave him any time, at the same time he was feeling guilty. Chenxi pinched his ears and asked why did he choose Hua Hua's place instead of her place. Chu wondered if she could really move on so easily. Chenxi asked him why he hadn't filled her in on what happened last night. He told her that he had killed a messenger from Jianwu. Hua Hua was shocked to hear this, and the glass of water slipped from her hand. Chenxi was also shocked. Chu explained that the messenger had tried to kill him, and he had no other choice. Chenxi noticed the bullet and asked how he had survived being hit by a Wang Chuan. Chu inquired about that, and she explained that Wang Chuan bullets are a nightmare for them. They're not easy to make, so there's a low supply, and not everyone in the Jianwu department has them. She asked about the rank of the messenger, and he told her he didn't know the rank, but she was wearing a purple robe. Chenxi explained that the ranks go from red to yellow, green, and purple, with purple being the lowest. Normally, only a green-ranked messenger would have the right to possess one of these bullets. Chenxi remarked that it was incredibly bad luck for Chu to encounter a purple-ranked messenger with a Wang Chuan. Chu then asked her how martial artists rank themselves. She expressed surprise that he didn't know, and explained that martial artists are divided into 5 ranks: Ru, Wu, Ji, Hua, and Shen, with each rank having 9 levels. Chu asked her what domain she was in, and she replied that she was in Ru domain 9, nearly breaking into the Wu rank. Chu's phone rang, and he hurried to get to school, worried that his dad might have found out he was out last night. Chenxi pushed him back onto the bed and insisted that he wasn't going anywhere with his wound and needed to rest for a few days. Hua Hua agreed. Chu unwrapped the bandage to show them that it was already healed. Chenxi was surprised by how quickly he had recovered and asked how he managed to stop the Wang Chuan's aura from spreading. She said that dealing with Wang Chuan was something every martial artist dreamed of knowing and asked him to teach her. He said he would teach her later but had to go to class now, and he left. Chenxi screamed in frustration and slammed the door, while Hua Hua, feeling nervous, thought that Chenxi was mad at her. Chu went to school, where the teacher was teaching while he slept on his bench. The teacher, Tong Fei, scolded him for sleeping and told him to stand outside while she called his parents to come to school. Chu was scared and begged her not to do that. The teacher yelled at him for talking back, stating that she didn't care if he didn't want to learn, but he was disturbing others, which was the problem. The class president, Song Chaoran, apologized on behalf of Chu and expressed his own regret. Chu sincerely admitted his fault and promised not to disturb others with his sleeping in the future. The teacher reprimanded both of them, warning Song Chaoran that if she failed to place in the top 10 on the upcoming exam, her parents would be called. She said she would let her parents see how she was wasting her time in school for a mere boy. Chu offered to take the exam for Song Chaoran instead. The teacher agreed but also imposed an additional punishment. Chu had to write a self-reflection essay to be read at the Monday assembly, so that everyone would see the negative impact of young love and be deterred from it. Both Chu and Song Chaoran were shocked by this. Chu then realized that Song Chaoran liked him, as she was blushing. A girl from his class went to Tang Xian, claiming that Chu was cheating on her. Tang Xian, along with her close friends, confronted Song Chaoran, scolding her for taking Tang's man. Song was intimidated by them. Tang then asked for Chu Qing and saw him sitting on his bench with his head down, thinking he was crying. Tang approached Chu and asked if he was okay. Chu woke up saying he was just very sleepy. Tang explained that she had heard about what happened and came to take him out for lunch. Chu remarked on how quickly news travels. Just then, Song Chorin arrived and apologized to them. Chu took responsibility for falling asleep in class and causing her trouble, and he asked if she really had feelings for him. Song Chorin didn't say anything but blushed nervously, confirming his suspicion. Chu hugged her, saying he was just joking and that she was a good woman who would always be his friend. He added that, in his lifetime, this was the first time he was friend-zoning someone. Tang felt sad seeing this. They then went out for lunch with Tang's close friend, Tao Yunyao. Tao scolded Chu for hugging another woman in front of Tang and demanded an apology. Chu retorted that Tao should apologize to him instead, given the many admirers constantly around her. Tao asked if Chu was jealous of Tang not paying attention to him. Chu replied that she didn't need to spoil him. He should be the one spoiling her. Tao struggled to hold back her laughter, and Tang mentioned that while she was waiting, Chu needed to be stronger than her. Chu agreed. Tao warned Chu to stay away from other women and to change his rebellious attitude, speaking more softly. Chu dismissed her advice, pulling her close and saying that if he had to stay away from women, he would also have to stay away from her. Tang told Tao to leave and she stood up and left. Tang then asked Chu if he was upset with her. Chu said he was different from others and that she shouldn't expect anything special from him. He held her hand and expressed his serious feelings for her, assuring her that she could rely on him. She felt happy, but then revealed that the formula he had given her was tested in her lab and was actually a recipe for poison, not something that could aid in martial arts cultivation. Chu was shocked, insisting that he was certain the formula was meant to boost cultivation. Tang said that the poison was still important to them, so she would take it and asked about the price. Chu told her to just take it, still doubting how it could be a poison, as he wanted to research it further. Tang took this the wrong way, insisting that he couldn't buy her with the formula. Chu clarified that he had no such intention and asked what the price would be. Tang offered 200 million, which shocked Chu. He realized that selling the formula could make him rich. He also wanted to buy some herbs from her, as Aunt Ye needed more elixirs, and he thought he could start buying them from the Tang family. Tang advised him not to mention that he was making elixirs, suggesting that while no one in the country was good at it, it might be possible for him. As Chu started eating, Tang wiped her face and prepared to taste the food. Chu stopped her and asked what she was doing. Tang said that he must be embarrassed at times like this, and advised him to stop training martial arts. She offered to protect him if it was for self-defense, as he didn't look well due to the side effects of his training. She gave him a healing med from her family and placed her hand on his leg, telling him she didn't want to see him training again, especially since she didn't want her future husband to be infertile. The idea that cultivating ancient martial arts could lead to infertility struck him like a thunderbolt. Chu then went home, wondering if his father had noticed he was gone last night. His father dragged him by the collar and slapped him for returning late. Chengxi arrived and explained that she had gotten drunk the night before, and Chu had been there to take care of her. She shouted at Chengxi for being there and for what she said, fearing that his father might think something inappropriate had happened. His father referred to him as a big cabbage. Chu asked Chengxi why she had come to see him. She gave him another healing med from the Tang family, remarking that it seemed he didn't need it. She then hinted that she expected him to be Miss Tang's boyfriend. Chu took the healing med from Chengxi's hand and said that he didn't need every gift she brought him, but he did need to teach her the method for dealing with Wang Chuan right away. She asked if the technique was more important than life itself. They joined hands, and Chu began teaching her the technique. As they did so, a magical light appeared, and a kind of laser current passed through Chu's hand to Chengxi's. The sensation was painful for her, causing her to fall. Chu caught her and gave her the healing med. Chu noticed something alarming. Wherever his Reiki passed through her meridians, it caused damage. Fortunately, they had the Tang family's elixir available. He realized that, unlike when he healed Aunt Ye, his Reiki was not flowing through the meridians, but directly through the body. He used his power to alleviate her pain and asked if she was okay. Chengxi replied that it was comfortable. Chu then understood that Tang Xian was right. The formula was indeed a poison. This led him to wonder if the irregularities in meridians could be a significant difference between men and women, prompting him to consider finding an ancient martial arts book for more information. Chengxi asked him to repeat the process to comfort her. Suddenly, his father entered the room and saw them on the bed. He shouted, questioning why they were on the bed if they were supposedly studying. Both were nervous, and Chengxi explained that she had felt sick and had lied down on his bed, then left the room. Chu tried to clarify to his father that it wasn't as he thought. Afterward, Chu decided he could deal with the irregular meridian issue later. For now, he took out a pot from under his bed and focused on crafting the sheath. The scene then shifted to the location where Chu had killed the Jinmen messenger. A car arrived, and investigators examined the area. They found evidence of someone being hit by a Wang Chuan, but only a few blood traces at the scene. One of the investigators was amazed and concluded that the killer hadn't used ancient martial arts, but had taken a more conventional approach. She suspected that the killer hadn't left Jinmen and instructed the team to check all major hospitals, trace the healing med from the black market, and investigate the auction held on the night of the murder. Another investigator revealed her identity and mentioned that she was going to Jinmen. She stood up and said her family had arranged a fiancé for her, who was the sixth son of the Chu family, and she was going to check him out. This was referring to Chu. Chu was working in his room, crafting a scabbard for his sword to ensure that any damage it sustained would be repaired and it would return to its original form. He also made a mask to conceal his identity, so he wouldn't have to worry about being recognized while dealing with the messenger. He pondered what made Chongjiang so special, given the fierce competition for it. Suddenly, his phone beeped with a message from Chen Shi, inviting him to discuss business over secret dishes at Yu Restaurant. When Chu arrived, he found Chen Shi and her mother at the restaurant. Her mother inquired about the status of the boosting elixir and if he had any requests. Chu replied that he was still waiting for herbs and expected to have the elixir ready by next week. She asked about the price, and Chu stated that he wasn't interested in money, but wanted to see the Ye family's cultivation techniques. Chengxi and her mother were shocked by this request. Aunt Ye refused, explaining that the techniques were passed down through generations and were worth more than their lives. An outsider could never possess them. Chu was astonished by their value. Aunt Ye suggested he quit martial arts training, as it wouldn't end well for him. Chengxi then asked her mother if Chu could access the book if he became part of their family. Her mother said yes, but only if he married into the Ye family. Chu refused to marry into any family, stating he would only wed someone from his own family. Chengxi's mother explained that the law required men to marry into the women's family, and the Ye family would not tolerate otherwise, so there was no point in discussing it further. Chengxi was disappointed. Chu decided to visit Jai to collect the 2 million he was owed. When he arrived, Jai asked where the money had come from and why Chu hadn't included him. Chu mentioned that he wanted a book on martial arts cultivation and asked how to obtain one. Jai replied that such books were not easily found and inquired if Chu was already involved in cultivation. Chu explained that his current techniques had issues and he wanted to change his style. Jai laughed, saying it wasn't easy for men to cultivate and questioned why Chu wanted to change his style. Chu was puzzled by why it was so difficult for men to cultivate. Jai told him that it wasn't that men couldn't cultivate, but there was a saying that to begin cultivation, one must be castrated. Chu asked Jai if practicing old martial arts was dangerous for men. Jai explained that the old martial arts were not meant for men, as achieving the highest level required castration. Chu realized that Tang Ziyan and Aunt Ye were right. Jai then offered to help him get in touch with a hospital for the procedure if he truly wanted to pursue it. Annoyed, Chu asked where he could buy a bundle of old self-defense techniques. Jai replied that while he had access to many things, old martial arts techniques were not among them. The old martial arts families would rather destroy their homes than reveal their secrets. Chu understood that the women were likely afraid that if men learned these techniques, they would lose their power. Chu received a message from Hua Hua informing him that some packages had arrived from the Tang family. The packages contained medicinal ingredients, which meant he could now make medicines. Chu went to work, using the ingredients to fabricate pills. With the help of his mask, the process was easier. The pills he created could increase a user's power by 30% for a short period, but came with the side effect of physical overload. Hua Hua stood at the door, and Chu called her in, letting her know he was finished. She asked what he was doing, and he replied that he was making pills. She noted that such tasks were typically done by alchemist families like the Tang family, but Chu insisted he wasn't lying. Hua Hua asked if he was going home now. Chu took her by the hand and kissed her, asking if she wanted him to stay or leave. She said she definitely wanted him to stay. Chu realized that, despite her appearance as a normal woman from his world, she was surprisingly open and unshy in their conversation. He gently placed her on the bed, but she stopped him, saying she was on her period. She added that, as he was still underage, it wouldn't be good for them if he got her pregnant, and she was concerned about spreading rumors. Chu asked if she thought he wasn't responsible enough. The next day, Chu was heading to school, but hadn't slept well the previous night. Yamao called him, mentioning that his sister had asked him to bring Chu over. Chu inquired if Yamao knew what she wanted. Yamao guessed that he might be becoming Chu's brother-in-law. When Chu was asked if he liked Tang Ziyan, he admitted he had feelings for Tao Yunyao and asked Yamao to keep it a secret, worried that others might mock him for liking someone they deemed foolish. Chu offered to help Yamao win Tao Yunyao's affection, but only if Yamao wouldn't be embarrassed by his methods. Yamao was surprised, saying that men shouldn't act so shy about such matters. Chu reminded him that men in this world are generally more feminine. They discussed strategies to win Tao Yunyao's heart, with Chu suggesting Yamao follow his advice to win her over, or else he would resort to force and threats. Suddenly, Chengxi arrived with a milk tea in hand. Chu asked her how she had found him. Chengxi told him to drink the milk tea quickly before it went bad. Yamao asked about the drink, but Chenxi ignored his question and insisted Chu drink it fast. As Chu drank, he realized she had sedated him again. Unable to see clearly, he began to fall, and Chenxi placed him into her car. Yamao was shocked by the scene, and Chenxi told him that Chu no longer needed to be involved and that he should call an Uber to go home. Chenxi then drove Chu to a hotel room, where she placed him on the bed and began unbuttoning his shirt, sitting on top of him. When Chu woke up and saw what was happening, he screamed and asked what she was doing. Chenxi told him to stay still, explaining that it was her first time and it might be painful for her. She then began kissing him. They both spent the night together. The next morning, Chu asked Chenxi why, despite having had 35 boyfriends, she had no experience. Chenxi stood up, saying that she had only controlled them, and boyfriends weren't just for that purpose. She threw a book at Chu, and he was surprised to see it was an old martial arts book from the Ye family. Chenxi told him that he was her property, and he didn't need to do anything for her. Instead, she would do everything to help him. Chu kissed her and placed something in her mouth. She asked what it was, and he replied it was something good that she would find out about soon. As Chenxi began cultivating, Chu read through the book. He discovered that women in this world were born with changes in their meridians, allowing them to absorb spiritual power and convert it into internal strength. Men lacked this ability, and practicing ancient martial arts would result in their explosion and death. The advent of old martial arts had transformed women's power, giving them dominance. Chu decided to modify the ancient martial arts methods to enable men to practice them safely. Chenxi felt a difference in her body and managed to break through the Wujing barrier, advancing to the third layer of the Wujing kingdom. Chu informed her that the Qingyi he gave her was beneficial for women to enhance their old martial arts. Chenxi asked where he had obtained it and wanted to test if he was still stronger than her. She attacked him, but Chu caught her hand and stopped her, causing her to fall. He held her, and she asked for more Qingye so they could repeat their previous activities. Chu told her that what she had was sufficient. Chenxi pushed him onto the bed, asserting that she was still Chenxi, the dominant one, and would show him again. The next day, Chu went to school, reflecting on how much worse things could have been if he hadn't drunk the medicinal drink. Tao approached him in the corridor and informed him that Tang wanted to see him. Chu felt a pang of anxiety and apprehension. He went to the extracurricular sports room, where Tang was waiting. She was visibly upset and demanded to know where he had been the previous night and what he was doing. Chu admitted that he had stayed at a hotel and spent the night with Chenxi. Tang reacted angrily, accusing him of being shameless for so easily admitting that Chenxi was his girlfriend. Chu leaned on the table and asked Tang if, assuming they stayed together, he would be her only partner and husband in the Tang family. Tang replied that her family would not allow it. Chu argued that he had the right to make similar choices. Tang screamed, questioning how men and women could be the same and whether he wanted to become a woman. Chu clarified that he simply wanted to be himself and show the world what it means to be human. Tang smiled and told him that he really needed to study. Chu told Tang that she didn't understand him, and if she couldn't accept him as he was, they would have to part ways. Tang questioned how he could leave without fulfilling his responsibilities or offering an explanation. Chu told her she could say whatever she wanted. Tang admitted that she liked him a lot and believed he deserved a future as her husband, but she was furious with Chenxi and wanted to harm her. Chu insisted he wouldn't allow her to do that. Tang said that while it would be problematic to make him sad, she decided to give him a chance. She proposed an arm wrestling match, stating that if he lost, she would cut off Chenxi's hands. Chu agreed to the challenge, though Tang doubted he could defeat her given her superior martial strength. The match began, both of them filled with anger. Tang was determined not to let him win. Chu realized that Tang's martial prowess was stronger than Chenxi's, but he knew he couldn't afford to lose, as it would mean Chenxi's hands would be at risk. He took out that fabrication pill to boost his strength. His powers increases and he defeated her. Tang was unable to believe that, and Chu told her to keep her promise. She screamed that this time forget him for cheating on her, but if she will find it again it will be not good for him. She told him not forget that she is his girlfriend, and even if they don't marry each other, she is going to keep him in her life forever. Then scene then shifted to his house. He opened the door. His parents were sitting there with a lady. His parents were nervous to see him, and mother asked him that why he came early. He was about to do extracurricular activities. He said his teacher was occupied today, so he came early. The girl stands up introduced herself as Gong Yue, his fiancé. He told her that she can have dinner there anytime but not to say shits like that he don't have fiancé. She showed him a marriage contract and asked if her aunt didn't told him about that. He said he don't know about that and the person who signed on it so he have a good life. She said it doesn't matter for her if doesn't know her, but his parents know her. His mother told him that Chu family's chief, her mom, and his grandfather signed on it. Chu got annoyed seeing this. It seems like Chu Anlan has lots of influence on his parents, and this lady is threatening his parents in front of him. Chu tear out the contract. Girl started laughing and saying that he is very brave. It's easy to tear those papers, but not what's inside it. He was boiling in anger and wanted to beat the lady and said to his parents that he is going out for dinner. Gong said she will go with him so that they can develop feelings for each other. She said to him that it seems like he don't want to help his parents, and it's beyond her imagination. He attacked on her, saying this to have been waiting to beat Jur out for a while. She said they should not start like that, they just met, and how he can say that he wanted to beat her for a long time. He said her logic is wrong and he can start wherever he want. She told him that she is from a family worthy of Dong and she have a desire to marry him. He must be grateful for it. He kicked her, saying that he don't care about that. She kicked him back, hurting his leg. The woman was even more stronger than Tang Xian. The lady was going to attack him again, and he realized that if this fight continues there, he will hurt him surely, and he took out his sword. Koge told Chu to calm down. It was the first time Chu had encountered a woman with such impressive strength. Gong Yue remarked that he was qualified to be her husband and seemed very familiar. Chu reiterated that he had no interest in being her husband, and did not plan to marry anyone. Gong Yue responded that it was too much, and given his current strength, it would be difficult for him. She admitted that she had been unusual since childhood, which made her unpopular among men. But now she found her future husband to be both handsome and strong. Chu questioned whether she was just making excuses to avoid the commitment. Gong Yue assured him she had a plan and that he would soon become her husband. She warned him not to despise the marriage, or he would face consequences. Chu asked what would happen if he were accepted into the National University. Gong Yue laughed at him and he felt irritated, vowing to flaunt his acceptance if it happened. Gong Yue mocked him further, whispering that men who attend that university often end up undergoing sex change operations. Chu was taken aback, saying that if she spread such rumors, people would faint. He started to walk away, but Gong Yue slapped him on the back. He turned around, ready to punch her in anger, but Gong Yue, frightened, said she was done and urged him to calm down. 2 days later, at his school's playground, everyone was preparing for the competition. Chu sat reading and hoped to get accepted by the National University. A boy approached him and asked why, as a member of the masculine basketball team, he wasn't preparing for the game. Chu responded that they could remove him from the team with pleasure. Xiao Wu, another student, mentioned that Zhou had asked him to remind Chu about the game and not to forget to attend. Chu said he didn't have time for it. Frustrated, Xiao Wu grabbed the book Chu was reading and threw it on the ground. Chu, angry, took another book and threw it at Xiao Wu's face, demanding that he retrieve the book. Xiao Wu shouted at Chu and lunged to attack him. Chu pulled him back, thinking Xiao intended to pull his hair. Yamao tried to intervene, but Xiao pushed him away. Chu stepped closer, moved Yamao aside, and twisted Xiao's hand. Xiao, in pain, called Chu a son of a bitch and complained about his hurting arm. Chu shouted back, demanding that Xiao apologize. In agony, Xiao agreed to stop and apologized for throwing the book and for biting Yamao. The vice president arrived at the scene and declared that fighting was unacceptable at school, instructing both of them to come to the disciplinary office. Xiao, distressed and crying, begged for help. Chu explained that Xiao had attacked him and bitten Yamao. The vice president noted that Chu's actions seemed overly aggressive. Chu argued that he was merely trying to stop Xiao's violent behavior and suggested the student council should commend him for his actions. The president asked Xiao to share his side of the story. Xiao, now in tears and ridiculed by onlookers, fled the scene. Chu advised Yamao to go to the infirmary to treat his wounds. Mao mentioned that he should explain the situation to Tang Xian, as she would likely be informed of the incident. Chu tapped Mao on the head, noting that as a member of the Ye family, he shouldn't be so afraid. Mao explained that it wasn't about fear, but rather avoiding trouble, as men would face gossip and criticism. Chu realized that the issue was more about the world they lived in than Mao's actions. He had only intended to help. The vice president went to Tang Xian and asked if she knew what her boyfriend had done. Tang responded that he was the worst and kept getting into fights. She dismissed the concerns and suggested that the vice president had been tricked by Chu Qing. Vice president told her that she wasn't concerned about Chu because he was a boy and suggested she should break up with him, recalling the incident with Chen Shi. Tang glared at her, causing the president to become nervous. Tang explained that she was already aware of the situation and had instructed Zhuo to notify Chu about the match. She also mentioned that Xiao had started the trouble, making Chu innocent. The president remarked that Tang had changed and resembled King Shangzhou and Chu Qing. The scene shifted to the infirmary, where Chu was tending to Ye Mao's wound. Some boys entered, and Zhuo confronted Chu, questioning why he had hurt Mao. Zhuo mentioned that he had sent Mao to inform Chu about the match and demanded an apology. Chu dropped his keys and told Zhuo to pick them up if he wanted an apology. Zhuo, frustrated, warned Chu not to forget the upcoming basketball match and insisted Tang Xian wanted him there. Chu agreed to attend, but said he would handle Tang Xian himself and asked Zhuo to leave. Zhuo implied that Chu was only acting bravely because of Tang Xian's support, but warned him to keep his promise to play. At the playground, Tang Xian was seated with Li Huanger, the president of Jinmen Second High School. The two were clearly competitors. Chu and Ye Mao arrived, and Mao was surprised by the large crowd and the enthusiasm for the basketball game. Zhang Saif waved them over, offering them seats and indicating that he would let them know when it was Chu's turn to play. He noticed the seat was covered in glue but appreciated that one had been left for Ye Mao. Chu sat in another chair, and Zhang looked annoyed, clearly displeased with Chu's choice of seat. Tang Xian arrived and presented Chu with a note about the experience of sitting on the sidelines. Chu realized she was still upset with him and wrote back, requesting that she not sit next to him. Despite his note, Tang had already taken the seat next to him. As she stood up, Tang's pants tore, leaving her embarrassed. Chu quietly noted that he had seen she was wearing purple. Tang yelled at Chu for not informing her directly. Chu explained that he had written his message on the note and that the seat had been reserved for him. Tang removed her jacket and tied it around her waist. Seeing Chu blush, she asked if her body attracted him, or if he was merely burning with desire. Chu handed her his jacket, saying he didn't want others to see her exposed. Tang, implying that he was jealous, returned the jacket to him and said he should be accustomed to such things. Chu was frustrated, and Tang left. The game began with Zhuo dribbling the basketball, but the opponent managed to steal it from him. Chu observed the match, noting that while the team played well, something seemed off about the opposing side. They appeared disoriented. Li Huanger approached Tang, inquiring if the guy in the seat was her boyfriend. She proposed a deal. If her team won, Tang would have to lend Chu to her. Tang refused, and Li taunted her, suggesting that Tang was afraid of losing her boyfriend. Tang asked what would happen if she lost, and Li replied she would run around without clothes. Li then rallied her team to step up their game, and they began to score heavily. She warned Tang not to forget their agreement, that if she won, Tang would have to lend Chu to her for a month, during which she would give him more love. Chu observed the game and realized that the opposing leader was concealing their true skills. He suspected something was off, as they were playing far better than expected. Tang called Chu to join the game, and he teased her, saying he was only there to sit on the bench. Tang, frustrated, made a bet. If they won, she would forfeit him for a month. Chu joked that the girl behind her was cute, and he wouldn't mind losing. Tang, infuriated, demanded that he stop joking. Chu said he was only kidding and agreed to play if Zhuo cheered for him. Tang agreed, and in a provocative gesture, promised that if he won, she would let him play with her breasts. Chu took to the court. During the toss, he blocked the ball and began dribbling, but an opponent intervened and stole it from him. Li Huanger laughed and remarked to Tang that her boyfriend was quite amusing. The score was 1-5, but Chu knew he needed to turn the tide, aiming for 1-9. He sprinted, jumped, and scored, with the crowd cheering enthusiastically. He spun the ball on his finger and handed it over, which the opponents took as taunting. Lai made a sarcastic comment, suggesting Chu seemed interested in joining her. Tang was visibly annoyed. When an opponent attempted to score, Chu pulled down his pants, mocking him about his maturity. Everyone was stunned by Chu's actions. Li Huanger, irritated, watched as Chu demanded that the opponent be disqualified, claiming that Li was a woman disguised as a man, thus exposing their hidden power. Chu then confronted Tang, reminding her of her promise to let him touch her if he won. Tang dared him to touch her, but Chu hesitated and backed away. 3 days later, Chu was in class, sketching something in his notebook. Mao approached and asked about his drawing. Ku mentioned that it had to do with whether men could practice ancient martial arts if inner strength flowed through their bodies. Mao informed him that Tang Xian wanted to see him at the Tingyu Martial Arts Stadium the next day. Chu speculated that she might want to fight him because he hadn't touched her. The following day, Chu arrived at the Tingyu Martial Arts Stadium to find Tang Xian ready for a fight. She challenged him to a match, promising to explain her reasons if he lost. As they fought, Chu managed to grab her and asked her to explain. Tang insisted she would reveal her reasons only if he lost, struggling to free herself from his hold. Chu then inquired if she was upset because he hadn't touched her as promised. Tang elbowed him, causing him to fall. She expressed how embarrassed she was by his actions in front of others and demanded that he understand the impact of his behavior. Chu, feeling anxious, asked if she wanted him to fondle her breasts. Tang affirmed this and asked if he was still training in martial arts without listening to her. He reassured her that he wouldn't let her be disappointed, though she corrected him, saying widow was a term used for women, and even if she couldn't follow through, she wouldn't let him be one. She lifted his t-shirt, loosened her clothes, and began kissing him, revealing she wasn't wearing undergarments. Chu pushed her away, questioning if it was appropriate to do this in the current setting. Tang asked if he was embarrassed, and he, feeling frustrated, declared that he would never be embarrassed in this lifetime. Suddenly, Tang's nanny entered the room. She pulled Chu up and introduced him as her boyfriend, explaining to Chu that the nanny was not just any caretaker but the master of the Tingyu Martial Arts Stadium. Chu was shocked, recalling that the nanny was someone who had previously fed him milk and was now revealed as a powerful figure in the Tang Empire. The nanny clarified that he was merely an enforcer for the Tang family. The nanny had brought 3 boys with him, whom Tang wanted to punish for their misdeeds. Zhuo Buquan and his friends were apologizing, claiming that the other school had hidden their skills and played tricks on them. Tang scolded them, saying she would handle Li Huanger, and reprimanded them for their actions, including putting glue on Chu's chair. The boys were frightened, and Chu hoped for divine intervention to save them from Tang's wrath. The nanny then instructed Chu to accompany him to the medicine room, where he was to carry medicine for little Yan. Chu agreed and followed him. In the medicine room, the nanny sat down and began to question Chu about his background, his family, and his status. Chu, feeling defensive, responded that he was not interested in being a part of Tang's family and was not seeking approval from the nanny. Chu expressed his frustration, saying that he was a peasant without wealth, fame, or patience, and if he was deemed unsuitable for Tang Xian, he would rather leave as soon as possible. The nanny replied that while he had not explicitly said Chu was unworthy, he doubted Chu's ability to fit into the Tang family. He noted that although Xian adored Chu, Chu did not seem to appreciate it. Chu cut him off, stating he had no intention of marrying into the Tang family and that he understood his own worth. The nanny slammed his hand on the table, causing tea to spill. Chu continued, asserting that if the nanny wanted him to stay away from Xian, he would do so, but warned that if the nanny tried to force him away, he would never approach Xian again. The nanny slapped Chu, warning that his pretty face might cause trouble for everyone around him. He threatened Chu that if he continued to defy him, and asked what if Tang wanted him again. Tang heard noises coming from the medicine room and went there with the 3 boys. They were shocked to find Chu standing over the nanny, who was on the floor. The nanny looked up and remarked that it seemed Chu was a martial artist as well. Tang asked what had happened. Chu explained that the nanny had threatened him to leave Tang alone, insisting Chu was unworthy and wouldn't ever be the male head of the Tang family. The nanny added that he had merely stated Chu would never be the head of the family, and now he knew Chu was not a threat. Chu retorted that he had no intention of marrying into the Tang family, even if Tang begged him. He also warned the nanny to focus on himself, stating that he was the only one who had slapped him and was still alive. The nanny, enraged, accused Chu of being shameless and questioned if he wanted to kill him. Chu summoned his sword and threw it toward the nanny, not to cause harm but to intimidate him. The nanny, trembling, knelt on the floor. Zhuo and his friends were terrified by Chu's display. Tang went to her nanny to check on him. The scene then shifted to the Jinmen Castle, where messengers were in a meeting. One of them read a notice about Xu Ran, a purple-robed messenger who had died due to a conflict involving an item sold at auction. Although no suspicious individuals had been found, the leader, Gong, noted a golden stone that had been sold at auction and was highly valuable. She suspected the Jai Yu might be hiding something. A messenger suggested arresting Jai Yu for interrogation, but Gong said that since Jai Yu was part of the Jai family, they couldn't arrest him directly. Instead, she instructed them to investigate who had been in close contact with Jai Yu recently to uncover the truth. After the meeting, Gong went to Chu's house but found his room empty, calling him a playful boy. Chu, noticing Zhuo and his friends lingering around, warned them that Tang was in a bad mood and advised them to leave. Chu told Zhuo and his friends to call him Big Brother and promised them various benefits. The boys eagerly agreed, even calling him Big Daddy in their enthusiasm. Chu told them to stop with the excessive flattery and warned them that their faces would hurt from all the bowing. He then handed them the medicine. Tang walked up and Chu asked if she had any more medicine. She threw some at him, and Chu, confused by her behavior, gave the medicine to the boys. He then approached Tang and asked if she was upset about something. He offered to apologize if it was about her nanny, though he wouldn't apologize to the nanny himself. Tang said there was no need for that. She acknowledged that her nanny sometimes acted like an ass, and that's why he remained in the small stadium. Chu mentioned that he had been sent to that place, which might explain his harsh demeanor. Tang admitted she hadn't realized he was so strong. She thought he was just slightly better than her. Chu downplayed his strength, saying it was more about scaring people away, and offered her a free trial if she wanted. Tang asked if he was a Taoist cultivator, to which Chu confirmed he was. She then expressed that her heart was broken because he had said he would never marry her, even if she begged. Chu put a hand on her shoulder and explained that he preferred someone marry into his family rather than marrying into hers. Tang asked how he could be so sure she'd agree to marry into his family. Chu asked if she wouldn't marry a good man like him. Who would she marry? Tang retorted the same question back at him. Still troubled, Tang said she was heartbroken knowing he wouldn't marry her, and she would not marry him either. Chu reassured her that as long as she didn't marry anyone else, they could stay together and he would treat her as his first love. He kissed her, and when she asked if he would marry anyone else, he said no. Tang then inquired about Ye Chenxi. Chu explained that while he wouldn't marry anyone, he would have someone marry into his family. Tang was irritated and scolded him for being shameless. At that moment, Chu noticed a girl sitting on the wall. He realized she was stronger than him and stopped Tang from walking forward. Chu told Tang that the woman was just an old friend and urged her to go home for now. Tang refused and insisted that he should leave first. Chu explained that the situation with the woman was a consequence of his issues with Chenxi, and if she stayed, she would be supporting Chenxi's case. Tang stepped on his leg, causing him to scream, and then told him to stay alive until she returned before heading home. The woman approached Chu, and he asked to discuss the matter. She came closer and attacked him, forcing Chu to flee since he was still early in his training while she was far more advanced. Noticing Tang Xian in the distance, Chu ran towards her, hoping to get her help. The woman grabbed Chu by the neck, threatening to kill him without tearing him apart. Chu offered to teach her his skills, and revealed that he had other valuable information she might be interested in. She dismissed the offer, stating that she would take everything from him except his life, and planned to leave him in such despair that he would beg for death. Chu took off his shirt and remarked that if she truly wanted him, he wouldn't resist. She told him that even if she desired him, he wouldn't be able to stop her. When he asked why she wanted to kill him, she revealed that he needed to die to ensure her juniors could finally rest in peace. She began to lift him toward the sky, and Chu screamed, asking where she was taking him. They arrived at an empty area, and Chu asked why she had brought him there. She explained that she intended to extract all his essence using a brutal method that would inevitably lead to his death after a torturous process. Chu challenged her not to waste her efforts, declaring that he wouldn't let her succeed. As she prepared to begin, something exploded, causing Chu to fall. A new woman arrived, and Chu wondered if she would arrest him. The woman ordered the newcomer to hand Chu over to her. The two women stood facing each other, and Chu realized that regardless of who won, his situation was still dire. Determined to take a risk, Chu drew his sword and stabbed it into one of the women's backs. He declared that he knew she intended to kill him. The woman, bleeding heavily, turned to confront him but fell to the ground and died. Chu stood over her with his sword, recognizing her as Gong. Gong, in her final moments, revealed her intention to get him to owe her a favor after saving him, but she hadn't expected him to kill her. She asked if he was responsible for the death of the purple robe Shu Ran. Chu admitted to killing a purple robe messenger but claimed he didn't know who Shu Ran was. Gong asked if he was involved in the investigation of the murder. Chu told her that whatever the case, she wouldn't arrest his fiancée or press charges against her. Gong, pressing a gun to his chest, accused him of using the situation against her and called him shameless. Chu warned her that she was dangerously close to losing her fiancé. Gong laughed at his threat. Gong then said she wanted something from him and suggested they go to a hotel. At the hotel, Gong, holding a piece of paper, questioned Chu about where he got it. Chu explained that he had drawn it. Gong realized that it indicated he could develop new cultivation techniques. She retracted her previous statement and acknowledged that he might be qualified for the National University. She proposed a deal. She would handle the case of the purple robe murder if he helped her with her body issues. Gong revealed that she was initially betrothed to a man named Chu Lan from his family, but the arrangement had been changed to him. Chu, confused about what was wrong with her body, was told by Gong that if he couldn't identify the problem, he'd be deemed useless and sent to jail. After careful observation, Chu identified that her cultivation technique conflicted with her body type, causing her to gain weight. Gong was pleased that he understood the issue and agreed to let him treat her. Chu asked for his reward. Gong informed him that the case of Shu Ran was resolved, and she provided him with information about his family. Chu Anlan, the head of the family, was elderly, and most matters were handled by Chu Qingru, her third aunt. Shu Lan was her son, but he disliked her fiancé and sought a replacement, which led to Chu being chosen. Chu was puzzled by the necessity of the marriage and the roles of the Chu and Gong families. Gong then asked for a kiss in exchange for exclusive information he couldn't find elsewhere. Shu told Gong that he would kiss her only after she told him everything. He called her pretty, and Gong was deeply moved, as it was the first time someone had complimented her that way. She began to explain that the supervision department was a crucial part of the empire, directly receiving orders from the empress and managed by its leader. The Gong family had traditionally led the department. Chu was surprised to learn that her fiancé came from such a powerful family. Gong continued, explaining that she couldn't become the leader herself but was only an aide. The Jianwu leader had both a right and a left-hand woman in a hereditary role. Since one of the families lacked a spouse, the Chu family was seeking to replace them through marriage. Chu understood that the Chu family was using marriage to secure their place, a tactic they had used before when his own parents were ousted. Gong asked Chu to treat her as agreed. Chu requested Wangchuan bullets, which were not part of their original deal. He produced pills from his pants, suggesting another deal. He offered the pills in exchange for Wang Chuan bullets. Gong questioned if the pills were as valuable as Wang Chuan bullets, or if they were just for her treatment. Chu said the pills were not for her treatment and that he would think about their value later. He asked her to try the pills. Gong swallowed one of the pills, which boosted her strength by 30%. She then unloaded her gun and provided Chu with the Wang Chuan bullets. She requested 10 pills from him, and he gave them to her. In return, she handed him a bullet, which Chu noted was more powerful than the ones Shu Ran carried. Gong explained that the bullets had different grades. She used 3rd grade bullets. Shu Ran had the weakest grade, and the strongest were 5th grade. Gong leaned on the bed and asked Chu to show what he could do. Chu touched her face, and she felt a sensation as her face transformed to match the beauty of others. He kissed her cheek, fulfilling his promise. Gong was thrilled with her improved appearance and hugged Chu in gratitude. However, she was concerned that her body hadn't changed and worried about keeping her normal face. Chu explained that if she stopped training, her appearance would revert to its previous state. Gong screamed in frustration, questioning the seriousness of the situation. Chu clarified that the issue was not with her techniques but with her body type, and continuing her training could be dangerous. She was shocked to hear that there was a problem with her body constitution and asked him if he only needed to create an efficient training method. He said it wasn't that easy and that there was something else. Her spiritual body, something like an internal pillar, had been taken from her. When she asked how he knew that, he said that the one who took it was not a stranger, but someone from her own family. Annoyed by his words, she drew her gun and told him to keep quiet. He said that if she already knew this and still practiced martial arts, it meant she sought revenge, even at the cost of her life. She shot at him and told him to leave. Chu jumped and told her to calm down, or her treatment would lose its effect. She collapsed, her face bleeding. Chu felt sorry for her and explained that the Chu family had come to force him into marriage, and he ended up breaking their legs. He said the aggression between the Chu family and himself could be mediated. He also mentioned that they could work together, and even if he attended the National University, he would go to the imperial capital to try to help her. Finally, he told her to stop training in martial arts because it would kill her, and he didn't want to arrive in the imperial city only to find her dead. She asked him if he would do his best to help her. The scene then shifted to Tang Ziyan, who was searching for Chu with Tang Ji. Tang Ji showed no interest in the search. Tang shouted at her to help save her boyfriend and not to make sarcastic remarks. Tang just said that as her second, she would treat her with respect, and Tang dragged her along despite being in the middle of her party. Tang also asked if she was close to her boyfriend and who was sexier, her boyfriend or a model who had been in her bed moments earlier. Tang said her boyfriend was 100 times cuter than the guy in her bed. Motivated, Tang Ji urged her to hurry, saying that it would be a waste if a cute man died. Tang's phone rang. It was Chu. She asked if he was okay, and her aunt remarked that his voice was beautiful and that she liked it. She said she was happy he had returned home and asked him to meet her at school before ending the call. Her aunt then scolded her, saying he was lying about being okay, and told her to go home to ensure his safety. Tang refused to go, and her aunt was disappointed, feeling that she had sacrificed her own sexual welfare to save her boyfriend and now wanted to spend a night with him. The scene shifted again to Chu's house, where he was having dinner with his parents. He told his father not to worry about the fatty girl as she would be heading back to the imperial city soon. His parents were surprised that she was really determined to go back. He reassured them not to worry, explaining that she planned to wait a couple of years before marrying and that the marriage was arranged by Chu Qingru and was related to Chu Lan. He realized that the Chu family was their enemy and hoped his parents were prepared because he wouldn't let them escape. Gong was flying in an airplane when a girl showed her a list of people who had recently been in contact with the Jai family. She noticed that Chu Qing was also listed as having been in contact with the Jai family. Chu went to her sister's room to check if it was damaged because Gong had been staying there during her stay at his home. He went inside and called his sister to ask about it. She answered the call, and Chu heard a man's voice in the background. His sister was spending time with her boyfriend when Chu called her, and he jokingly shouted, accusing her of cheating because he heard another man's voice. Her boyfriend was shocked, thinking she had another man. She quickly explained that Chu was her brother, but Chu continued his prank, teasingly shouting, "How can you call me your little brother?" She shouted back, telling him to stop trolling them. Chu was laughing so hard, he was having a lot of fun with the prank and then asked her to hand the phone to her boyfriend. Xiao took the phone, insisting that he was her only boyfriend and the love of her life. Chu told him to relax, explaining that he was just pulling his leg. Xiao calmed down, but Chu's sister started shouting at him, asking why he had done this. She reminded him that Xiao might be her future brother-in-law and asked why he had called her. She then asked if he was running out of money and needed her to transfer some funds into his account. Chu's sister told him to send the money to her, and Xiao agreed, but she said that as a girl, she couldn't take money from him. Jag sent her 500,000 yuan. She was surprised to see this amount and thought he must have borrowed it from Ye Chenxi. She felt embarrassed in front of her boyfriend, wondering what he would think of her brother. Xiao reassured her, saying not to worry, and that he would handle it, which made her happy to see that he had a good heart. The scene then shifted to Chu's school, where he was standing with Zhuo and his friend, who were calling him boss and asking why he wanted them to practice old martial arts. They had heard that whoever practiced martial arts might become impotent. Chu told them not to worry. These training methods were different, and he practiced them himself without any issues. He explained that he had developed a risk-free training method for men, but needed to test these methods. The boys were still scared, but Chu reassured them, saying he would personally train them. Ye Chengxi entered and asked if he was bullying his classmates. Chu replied no and asked why she was there. She said she had come to see him and brought him milk tea, assuring him it wasn't drugged this time. Chu wasn't fond of drinking tea. She came closer to him and asked if he liked her lips. Suddenly a woman appeared and said that the head of her family wanted to meet Chu Qing. Chengxi recognized that they were from the Tang family. Chu went to them and asked the woman if she was looking for him. Tang's nanny was also sitting there with her. Chu called him a babysitter, and he shouted back, saying that wasn't good for Tang Xian. Chu asked if this was her mother-in-law, but the woman clarified that she was not his mother-in-law. Chu realized that they disliked him. As he started to leave, they called him arrogant, stubborn, and reckless, claiming he didn't have a single positive trait. Tang's mother said that although he might be intelligent, claiming he deserved Tang Xian was like saying there were no fish in Yunjiang City. Chu replied that there was some delicious and succulent meat that was very popular and suggested she try that instead of fish. Tang's mother was very annoyed with him, but her expression suddenly changed as soon as Tang Xian entered. Tang asked her what she was doing there, and then asked Chu Qing why he was there. Without thinking, he suddenly kissed her in front of them, forgetting that Ye Chenxi was also present. Chengxi was furious, seeing him kiss another woman in front of her. Tang pushed him away, saying it was too late and she had to go home now. Chu was smiling, but Chengxi grabbed him by his collar and shoved him into her car. Trying to change the topic, Chu asked her who had bothered her, saying he would beat them up, but he quickly realized she was angry about seeing him kiss Tang Xian. She jumped on him and started removing his clothes. He reminded her they were in front of the whole school, but Chengxi retorted that he hadn't thought about that while kissing Tang Xian in front of her. She removed her clothes and kissed him, and they ended up having sex in the car. Afterward, Chu asked if she was satisfied now. She said yes and warned him to stay away from other women. As Chu got out of the car, he mentioned that he had to go back home and realized he should stop drinking her tea, as it always led to the same outcome. Chu's phone rang, and it was his sister calling this time. He answered, and she told him to take care of their parents and apologize to them for her. He asked her where she was and what had happened. A different woman took the phone and told him his sister was occupied and that he should arrive at the Drunken Dream building within 30 minutes. She warned that if he was late, he would find his sister's dead body. Chu called Jai to ask about Drunken Dream. Jai told him that Drunken Dream is Jinmen's largest gold bar distributor. He added that the Ye family and Drunken Dream are the biggest underground forces, supplying booze, troops, drugs, and other illegal goods. Jai also mentioned that their leader, Zui Ming, came to Jinmen a few years ago to establish Drunken Dream. As Chu was on his way to the location, Jai warned him that it was too risky and that he wouldn't be able to help if Chu got into any trouble. Chu responded that he didn't need his help and that he had to save his sister no matter what. Chu arrived at the place, and a woman instructed him to go to the 67th floor. He went up, tightened his fists, and walked heavily. When he reached the floor, he saw his sister being restrained by some people, and she was screaming at him to run away. One of the women kicked his sister, but Chu quickly grabbed the woman by the neck. At that moment, the leader entered and asked if he was Chu Qing. He confirmed, saying yes, he was, but his sister was terrified of Zui Ming and begged him to stop talking and run away. Chu pushed his sister behind him, telling her that they would be home soon. He then asked Zui Meng who she was and why she had kidnapped his sister. She replied that she was Zui Meng, the head of Drunken Dream, and that his sister worked there as a bartender. Chu angrily demanded to know why they had beaten up his sister. Zui Meng explained that the people who had beaten her weren't her employees. Chu warned them not to touch his sister again, or he would kill them with his bare hands. To test his strength, Zui Meng used her power to scratch him, moving incredibly fast. Realizing her speed, Chu took out some pills to boost his strength for the fight. Zui Meng leaped to attack him, telling him to prepare for his sister's funeral. Chu consumed the pill and roared as a strong light surrounded him. The energy exploded, filling the area with smoke. Chu drew his sword and prepared to fight, and Zui Meng taunted him, inviting him to attack her. Zui pushed Chu back, causing him to fall down along with his sword. Chu realized she was much stronger than him and tried to negotiate, asking her to talk things out. He wanted to know what actually happened. Zui explained that his sister had slept with someone, and her mother wanted her to punish Chu's sister for it. Chu immediately understood that this was related to the man his sister had referred to as his brother-in-law. He asked Zui to forget about the incident and let his sister go. Zui then revealed her face, showing a slap mark. Chu was shocked to see this, as Zui was one of the strongest forces around, and he wondered who could have slapped her. Zui told him that his sister was bold enough to sleep with the mayor's son, and as a result, Zui got slapped because of his sister's actions. She asked Chu if he could compensate her for this. Chu asked how she wanted him to compensate. Zui demanded 300 million yuan, and said that if he couldn't provide that much, she would take his sword for 200 million yuan and 100 million yuan in cash. Chu refused, stating he wouldn't let her hurt his sister, and that if the mayor wanted his sister dead, he would convince her to change her mind. Zui laughed and asked who he thought he was and how he could possibly convince the mayor. Chu asked for 3 days to handle the situation. Zui agreed but said he needed to pay her 300 million yuan first for her to give him those 3 days. Chu admitted he didn't have that much money and showed her a pill instead. Zui demanded 20 of those pills and suggested he sleep with her for 1 night as part of the deal. Chu angrily shouted at her but quickly realized that, for his sister's sake, he would have to comply. Zui told him to let his sister rest and to go with her to her room. Chu asked if she could handle him, and she effortlessly picked him up and carried him to her room. She placed him on her bed, kissed him, and commented that it surely wasn't his first time. Chu remarked that since he couldn't defeat her, she could have just killed him and taken all his pills. He wondered why she accepted his offer instead. Zui replied that she had a gut feeling that if she killed him, she might lose something invaluable. As she removed his clothes, she said that her gut feeling had always guided her, and was so accurate it could be considered a talent. Chu was feeling down, questioning why he agreed to sleep with her. She called him pretty and asked if he had rested enough. When he asked what she wanted now, she took out an injection and suggested they try something new. Chu charged at her with his sword for shoving the injection into his backside. Zui felt nervous and begged him not to be so violent. He shouted that he would take his revenge someday, and that he was taking his sister home now. He warned that if she tried to stop him, he would kill them both on the spot. Zui pressed the injection, but Chu broke it with his power. He grabbed his clothes and stormed out of the room. She watched him from the window as he took his sister and left. She found him intriguing. The scene then shifted to Chu's house, where he had taken his sister. His father asked where they had been and why his sister was hurt. Chu explained that he had received a call from the police saying she had been kidnapped, so he went to get her. He assured his father that her injuries weren't severe and that she would heal soon. His father was shocked to hear about the kidnapping, especially since they weren't wealthy. Chu suggested that organ harvesting could be the reason behind the kidnapping. His father was distraught, lamenting the problems their family was facing. First, his sister getting kidnapped, and now his mother's company. Chu asked him what had happened to his mom's company. His father dismissed it as nothing for the kids to worry about and told him to wash up and go to bed. Chu called Chenxi to ask if she knew anything about his mother's company. She told him it was all because of him, and that it might be a warning from Tang Xian's mother. Lying on his bed, Chu thought about all these issues: his mother's company, his sister's situation, and the mayor of Jinmen. He realized he needed to come up with a solution quickly. The next morning, Chu went to his mother's company for the first time. He saw a woman dominating a man there and thought that this might be a common occurrence. He asked her where the president's office was, explaining that he needed to meet her urgently. The woman was excited to take him there and showed interest in him, asking how old he was. When he said he was 17, she offered financial assistance, mentioning that she had helped many students in the past. She even asked him out on a date for the weekend. Chu's mother walked in and saw him, asking why he was there. The girl quickly apologized to his mother for bringing in an outsider and said he was her cousin. His mother was confused to hear that, and Chu told her that the woman was trying to get him to sleep with her. Everyone was shocked to hear this, and someone asked if she wanted to become her daughter-in-law. Chu was happy to see his mom messing with the woman like that. His mother told the woman to go to the finance department to settle her salary for the month, and then scolded Chu for not being at school, telling him that she would hear him out when she was free. An hour later, she called him in to talk. She asked him why he had come to her office instead of being at school. Chu showed her a notice that he had taken permission from the school. His mother said that his father had already told her what happened with his sister, and that he might be able to fool his father, but not her. She asked him to tell the truth. He explained that he didn't want his father to worry too much, and then told her everything that had happened. She yelled at him, asking why he went there. He assured her not to worry, saying that he wasn't hurt. He thought it would be best to keep the rest a secret to avoid worrying his parents further. Chu then demonstrated his magic to his mother by making water float in the air. She asked if Ye Chenxi had taught him this. He reassured her that it wasn't related to ancient martial arts, but was something more complicated, and he promised to explain everything someday. She noted that he had changed a lot after meeting Ye Chenxi, but she didn't know there was another reason for it. Chu then asked her what had happened to her company. She replied that while she understood he was curious, he should leave adult matters to them. Suddenly, Ye Chenxi entered the room. Chu was shocked to see her and asked why she was there. Chenxi said she had heard about his mother's situation and came to see if she could help. His mother explained that their system had been attacked by hackers and had been down since yesterday. But she assured Chenxi that their techniques were the best, so there was no need to worry. She appreciated Chenxi's offer to help. Chenxi then offered to give them some cash, but Chu declined, saying they didn't need money because they were well off too. Chenxi asked what could be done. Chu suggested asking Huahua for help, as she was a professional in that field. Chenxi didn't seem pleased with this idea. She called Huahua, who appeared nervous. Chu then asked Chenxi to explain the situation to Huahua. When Chenxi yelled at her, Huahua ran away. Chu then asked Chenxi if she had a gun. She showed him her gun and aimed it at him. He said he needed a semi-automatic gun and asked her to get him one. He needed the gun for the Wang Chuan bullet, which might be useful in dealing with the mayor. Chenxi agreed to give him the gun. Chu thanked her and was about to leave, explaining that he couldn't take Chenxi to the mayor's residence because if anything happened to her, it could mean a war between both families. She grabbed him and asked if he was running away from her to meet his mistress Huahua. Chu was confused by her accusation. Chenxi then asked one of the employees where the washroom was, and she led him to the female washroom. Chu shouted at her for being crazy, pointing out that they were in his mom's company building. Chenxi started removing his clothes, saying she was going to punish him. He pleaded with her not to do this today. She replied that she wouldn't if he didn't want it, but warned that she would do something to his other girlfriends, and told him not to object if she ever decided to eliminate all the other women in his life someday. Chu was crying over the fact that women were so dominant in this world, and he ran from there, making an excuse. Chenxi grabbed his t-shirt again and asked him why he was acting so weird today. Did he have more girlfriends? He told her about Jue and felt guilty about it. She screamed at him for doing this. A few hours later, while driving, he realized that he was about to reach his destination and that he could have arrived faster if Chenxi hadn't stopped him. He noticed that his future brother-in-law lived on Juke Street, where most of the residents were already filthy rich. He saw a residence that looked normal from the outside but assumed there would probably be lots of cameras inside, and he sensed some sort of strong energy there. It seemed impossible to meet directly with the members of the Xing family. He had no idea how much security the Xing family had, and he couldn't just go in without any preparation. He wanted to talk to Xing Li to see how he would react, and hoped that he wasn't like his mother, and would be on his sister's side. Chu thought he might use money to convince Xing Li to forget about his sister. Suddenly, a car stopped in front of him, and Tang Ziyan came out of it. Chu was surprised to see her and asked if she was searching for him, and how she knew he was there. She asked him why he had taken 2 days off from school. He said he wasn't in a good mood and was trying to relax. She asked if he was angry with her. He replied, asking why he would be angry with her. She explained that his mother's family was in danger because of the Tang family, and her mother might have said something bad to him, so maybe he would be angry with her. He told her it wasn't like that and that it wasn't the reason he skipped school. She said that she was his girlfriend and didn't want him to be with any other girl in her absence. He then asked her about Jue Meng. She told him that Jue was the number 2 great expert and in charge of Jinmen, the biggest black market. He asked why he was asking about her. He said he had just heard about her and then asked about the other 9 great experts. She explained that Xing Wei from the Xing family was number 1, and there were 2 in the Tang family, her mother and her second aunt, as well as 2 in the Ye family and 1 in Jian Wubu. He realized that if he didn't step back, he would be in danger, and he needed to ask Huahua for help to get information about them. He then went to Huahua and thanked her for helping his mother. She had finished her bath and changed into pajamas. She told him it wasn't hard for her to solve his mother's company problem, and asked how long he would be staying there. Chu asked her if she could help him with something. He told her that he needed to infiltrate the Xing family's residence today. Huahua told him that the Xing family are the giants of Jin men, and that it's hard to collect information about them. She then asked him what kind of information he required regarding the Xing family. He asked her to do something about the surveillance system on Juki Street and the security system at the Xing family residence. He also requested a map of the house and the names of the residents. Shu heard the sound of footsteps as someone entered. He took out his sword and was ready to attack, but then he realized it was Chenxi who had entered. Chu asked her why she was there. She shouted that she was looking for him and that his mother had told her he was with Chenxi. Chenxi was angry at him for using her as an excuse to hang out with Huahua. Chu and Huahua were both trembling. He asked Chenxi how she got in when the door was locked. She said she had unlocked it with the key that Huahua had given her. Chu snatched the key from her hand, threw it into the dustbin, and told her not to come there again to bully Huahua. Chenxi shouted at him for defending Huahua and left. Shu told Huahua not to let Chenxi in, and if she forced her way in, she should inform him immediately. Huahua asked if he was going to follow Chenxi. Chu told her that if Chenxi stayed, they wouldn't be able to get any work done. Chenxi came back with a gun in her hand and blasted the door open, filling the room with smoke. Hua Hua was scared. Chu asked Chenxi if that was the gun he had asked for. She pointed the gun at them and fired, but Chu ran to her, pushed the gun upwards, and asked if she was crazy for opening fire. Chenxi said she could kill anyone in Jinmen. Chu asked if she wanted him to die. She replied that she wanted to shoot him so there would be a hole in his body to stop him from seducing other women. Then she showed him the gun to see if it was what he was asking for. Chu realized that the gun would be compatible with the rank 3 Wangchuan bullet, and he thanked Chenxi for it. He put the gun down and asked her to go back home. She said that her car had broken down and asked if she could spend the night with them. Then she kissed him. Hua Hua was very disappointed to see this happen in front of her eyes. Chu told her to go to the living room and watch some shows because he and Hua Hua had things to do. Chenxi asked him to let her join them, saying she would help. He told her that Hua Hua was helping him with his studies and asked if she could solve a few math questions. Chenxi said she would rather watch a spy show on TV since she couldn't solve math problems. Hua Hua showed him the layout of the Xing residence and explained that the red dots represented cameras and the green dots represented security alarms. She assured him she would take care of them when he entered the house. Chenxi was standing at the door, trying to listen to what was happening inside. She opened the door to see what they were doing and then asked them to have a drink. Chu shouted at her to go away. Chenxi, overthinking what they might be doing alone, found another excuse to enter the room again. She ordered some food and brought it to the room, still doubting what they were doing. She hesitated again when she saw them studying and told them she had ordered BBQ skewers for them. Chu was frustrated and picked her up over his shoulder to kick her out of the house. He carried her to her car, which was completely fine. He put her in the car and told her to go back home. Chenxi grabbed his t-shirt and pulled him inside the car. He said he didn't have time to play with her, but she didn't stop and kissed him, wanting to keep him to herself so Hua Hua couldn't have him. He pushed her away, saying he had serious things to do. She removed her jacket, trying to be seductive, but he pushed her down and said he had to punish her. They were intimate, and afterward, she asked him if she did well and if he was mad at her. He told her that he couldn't be mad at her. Chenxi said that she felt like their relationship was getting weaker day by day because he kept fooling around with other women. Now he was angry with her, and she was about to pat his head. He told her not to do that, saying he wasn't her dog, and if someone else had treated him like that, he would have sliced their hand. He then told her to go back home. She asked if he was going back to Hua Hua. Chu felt that going back to Hua Hua right after being with Chenxi seemed wrong, but he had to do something about his sister's situation. She spanked his back and said she liked him because he wasn't like other men. She liked the hard-to-get ones. Chu understood that even if he had many relationships, he wouldn't get into trouble. Only those who got attracted to him would. He started walking, and then Chenxi got out of the car and asked him to be a good little boy. He told her to be a good girl and marry him. She replied that he was just 17 and that it was too early for him. Chu asked if she had treated him like a kid in the car and what she wanted as a marriage gift. She said she wanted the whole of Jinmen. He replied for her to just be a good girl, then went inside. The scene then shifted to the mayor's residence, where Chu was preparing to go in. Hua Hua was on a call through an earbud, guiding him about the security and the rooms in the residence, and telling him to be careful. He told her not to worry since he had a mask made by him. He walked in, wanting first to talk to his future brother-in-law. He saw Miss Xingyu having fun in her room, and understood that Xiao Tao would be on the second floor. He jumped onto a tree and sat there to see his room. An old lady with food in her hand saw him, and Chu hesitated when he noticed her. The lady ignored it, thinking no one was there. He thought, despite hiding his presence, she felt it and wondered if he might be Jingmen's #1 expert, Xing Wei. He saw Xiao Tao on his bed, looking at a picture of himself with Chu's sister, and realized that Xiao Tao still had feelings for her. Chu jumped onto the balcony, opened the door, and went inside. Xiao Tao thought it was his maid and said he didn't want to eat anything. He just wanted to see Chu Xiao. Then Xiao Tao realized Chu was standing behind him, got scared, and screamed. Chu put his hand over Xiao Tao's mouth and told him that he was Chu Xiao's little brother. Xiao asked him what had happened to her, and Chu asked if he was aware of what had happened to his sister. Xie started crying, fearing something had happened to her, and said it was all his fault. He had involved her in this mess. Chu told him not to make noise, explaining that his mother wanted to kill Chu Xiao, but he had saved her. Xiao said it was all his fault, adding that his mother wanted him to marry Tang Xian forcefully, regardless of his opinion on the matter. Chu was shocked to hear about Tang Xian. As Xiao began packing his things to leave, Chu told him not to do that. He had actually come in search of his mother and wanted to have a talk with her. Xiao told him that it was useless. She wouldn't listen and wouldn't even meet with him. Chu said he wanted to give it a try but needed to make sure that expert Xing Wei didn't ruin his plan, and he would take care of the rest. She said he was locked up there and couldn't even see her. Chu suggested that Xiao should try to get her to come to him and proposed pretending to be suicidal and causing some chaos to keep her occupied for 30 minutes. Xiao was eager to do it and said he could accompany her for a night. Chu jumped down and saw her taking a bath, deciding to go in. As she came out of the bathroom, she saw him sitting on her bed, covered with a mask, and was surprisingly happy to see him. Chu found it strange that she didn't make a single sound upon seeing him. She walked toward him, sat on his lap, and asked if he was the new guy sent by the Li family. Chu felt like he was being treated like a human toy. She removed his mask and kissed him. Chu pushed her away, and the edge of his mask hurt her, causing her to faint. He then left the room and sat in a tree looking inside. The mistress was reading something in her room when a maid entered and informed her that Xiao Tao had attempted to commit suicide. The mistress asked if he still didn't understand, and Wei told her not to be angry at him, as he was still immature. She went to check on Xiao Tao. With the mistress now alone in her room, Chu approached, knocked on the door, and was allowed inside. Upon seeing him, she told him to leave, and that she would pretend she had never seen him. Chu sat on the sofa and said he couldn't leave so quickly. She said she knew he had just met Xiao Tao and asked if he was there for Chu Xiao. He said he had come to ask her to allow her son to marry Chu Xiao. She laughed, mocking how Chu Xiao thought she could marry her son despite her trivial family background, and asked him who he was. He removed his mask, and she recognized him as Xiao's little brother, Chu Qing. She said it seemed his sister was still alive and that Meng Zui no longer respected her. Chu told her that Meng Zui had let his sister go and that she needed to teach her a lesson. The mistress felt that she had been used by him. Chu raised his gun and said that he was there only to request forgiveness for his sister and for her to let her go. She asked if he was threatening her with a rank 3 Wangchuan bullet in that gun. He pointed at her, urging her to shoot, but suddenly she jumped and kicked him from behind. Chu fell, bleeding, and realized how fast she was. The mistress now held his gun and asked if he really thought he could protect his sister with that broken weapon. Chu admitted that he had been cocky and said that deciding who won or lost at that moment would be futile. She said she had never seen anyone as impressive as him in years, and that if his family were as influential as the Tang family, she would allow Xiao Tao to marry Chu Xiao. She then noticed the special bullet from the Gong family and asked if he was a member of the Gong family. He said he had a marriage contract with them. She asked him to prove it. Chu asked if she would agree to let Xiao Tao marry Chu Xiao if his family were as influential as the Tang family, then took out the marriage contract and showed it to her. Thankfully, Gong Yue had repaired the contract and given it to him. The mistress was shocked to read that he was Madame Chu's grandson. He told her that his sister was Chuan Lan's granddaughter, which met the mistress's requirements. She mentioned that their roots were in Didu, while his family was in Jinmen, and asked if his mother was an outcast in the Chu family. She implied that the marriage was just a way to recycle trash and that his mother was hiding in Jinmen to survive. Chu suggested they drop the topic of marriage and discuss something else. She threw the marriage contract back at him and asked what he wanted to talk about. Chu tore up the marriage contract, declaring it a useless piece of paper to him. She stood up, approached him, and asked if he knew what the name Chu and Lan represented. Chu said it didn't matter to him, as those 3 words were not the reason he slept peacefully at night. She explained that she was only being kind to him because he was Chuan Lan's grandson, and that she had even slapped the head of the Guan family. Now she was showing him respect because of his seniority. Chu was unaware of this and was surprised to learn about the power of the greatest female companions. He wondered how she had ended up in such a state. Wei entered, apologizing for being late and asking Mistress to punish her. Mistress said it was not her fault. She then told Chu to make his last request, as she was about to attack him. Wei stopped her and informed her that her daughter was missing and that Chu had something to do with it. Wei grabbed Chu by the neck and demanded to know about her daughter. Chu said this was actually what he wanted to discuss. Mistress put him down and told him to speak. Chu asked her to forgive his sister, explaining that Meng Zui could easily find and kill her as per Mistress's orders. Mistress said she would take his life instead of his sister's. Chu screamed and begged for another option. Mistress said she would arrange for someone to look for her daughter, and if they found her, his entire family would have to pay. Chu said she could only do that once she found her daughter. Wei whispered something in Mistress's ear, and Mistress concluded that her daughter had been there that night, suggesting he must have hidden her somewhere nearby and that they could find her easily. Chu sat back in the chair and took out his phone. Mistress asked if he was calling someone for help. Chu asked if it bothered her if he did call for help. She said she would like to see whom he was calling. Chu texted Hua Hua, asking for an update on the person he had asked her to keep an eye on, but she didn't have any exact information. Chu was frustrated to see that she hadn't gathered any information yet. Mistress sat in front of Chu and said it had already been an hour since they had been waiting for someone to help him. She asked if he was relying on Ye Chenxi or Tang Ziyan to save him. Chu replied that she thought he came to meet her without a backup plan. He said he didn't like to use old methods, but if he had half a year, he could easily defeat her. Wei started laughing at him, saying that as a fourth-grade master in the realm of heroes, it was unrealistic for him to think he could surpass her so easily. Chu said it didn't matter to him if she was a fourth-grade master. Even if she and Granny were strong, it didn't mean they didn't have weaknesses. Mistress was about to call someone when Chu received a notification. It was a picture of a man sent by Hua Hua. Wei entered and told Mistress that they had found her daughter hidden under the bed. Mistress told Chu that he was going to die now. Chu showed her the picture of the man sent by Hua Hua and asked Wei if she was about to call him. Mistress and Wei were surprised by the picture, and Wei jumped up and punched Chu. Chu said that if they hurt him, it would mean someone would hurt that man too. Mistress stopped Wei and said she would handle it. She then asked Chu how he had found that man. Chu explained that he had asked someone to investigate her and discovered that if he was her lover, she would have brought him home. However, since she had been meeting him in secret, it meant she had a special connection with him that she didn't want anyone to know about. Wei acknowledged that Chu was very smart and asked for his conditions. Chu demanded that his sister and Xiao Tao be allowed to marry. Mistress agreed, but imposed a condition. Chu Xiao's family must buy a house on Shankei Street within a year, or she would have to marry into her family. Chu said it wasn't a big issue and asked her to put it in writing. He also requested that she write a letter to Meng Zui, asking him to leave his sister alone. Mistress screamed, saying he didn't trust her word and wrote it down on paper. Chu took the letter and, while leaving, told her to take her anger out on Meng Zui since she was too full of herself. Mistress asked him if he hated Meng Zui because he slept with her to save his sister. Chu felt exposed and denied it. Mistress stopped him, saying she had something more to say. Chu asked her what more she wanted. She mentioned Liu Feng, the man in the picture. Chu told her not to worry, assuring her he would keep it a secret. Mistress explained that their relationship was not what he might think. She told him that when the Empress ascended the throne, Mistress had the chance to be elected as the third Duchess, but chose to resign to be with Liu Feng. Chu was shocked to hear that Liu Feng was associated with the Empress. He shouted at her, questioning why she was telling him this, and stating that the Empress would kill anyone who knew about it. Mistress agreed, reminding him that he had claimed he could surpass her and Xing Wei within 6 months. Chu, now completely frustrated, declared that if he couldn't do it within 6 months, he would kill himself. Mistress stopped him and handed him 3 Wangchuan bullets as an advance wedding gift for his sister. Chu took them and left the room. Mistress's daughter entered and screamed at Chu for hurting her, trying to slap him. He grabbed her hand and told her he was not in a good mood. She taunted him, saying she had beaten his sister even when she didn't fight back, and questioned how he could think she would let him go easily. Chu asked if she was the one who had caused the wound on his sister's face. She laughed and confirmed it was her. Chu slapped her so hard that she fell down, stating that although he didn't usually hit women, he made an exception for his sister. Wei was about to attack Chu, but Mistress held her back, stopping her from doing so. Chu commented that the Xing family's children lacked discipline, and then left the place. Mistress instructed Wei to send Liu Feng to the Wangchuan training camp and find a good teacher, as Liu Feng lacked discipline. Wei noted that it was the strictest camp in the army, with only 20% of the candidates emerging unscathed. The rest were either badly injured or dead. Mistress said it didn't matter. If Liu Feng died, it would mean his life wasn't worth anything. According to her, Tao could inherit the family, as men were as good as women, just like Chu Qing. We thought Mistress was being influenced by Chu Qing. Chu went to Hua Hua, who, frightened, hugged him tightly. She asked if he had been forced to fight with multiple women. Chu replied that he had only been beaten up by 2 foolish grandmothers. Hua Hua said she didn't mind as long as he was safe, and Chu asked her to let him rest. Chu then noticed 18 missed calls from Tang Xian. He answered her call, informing her that he needed to sleep. Tang asked if he was skipping school and instructed him to notify the teacher about his absence. She warned him that if he didn't go to school, they would call his parents. Chu asked why they would call his parents, and Tang reminded him of the bet he made with the class teacher regarding the mock test. Rushing to school, Chu arrived just as the teacher was about to start. He entered the classroom to find everyone, including his teacher, staring at him. The students laughed, and Chu felt extremely nervous. The teacher shouted at him for being late and asked if he had forgotten about the test. Chu apologized and went to his desk. When the bell rang, students began discussing the test. The class president approached Chu to ask if he had made it into the top 10. Chu said he had answered all the questions. Suddenly, Tang Xian entered and saw Chu talking with the class president. Tang's friend approached, pushed her, and told her to stop flirting with Tang Xian's man. Chu warned her to mind her own business, or he would break her bones. She started shouting at him, but Tang held her back and warned her that it would be better if she didn't mess with Chu. Tang then invited Chu to lunch. Chu agreed and asked Koren to join them. Tang's friend shouted at him again, and Tang told her to calm down, stating that she wasn't prettier than Tang Xian. Choren, frightened, refused to join them for lunch. Chu noticed Yamao blushing at Tang's friend and insisted that he come along for lunch. Chu informed them that Tao Yunyao would be accompanying them as well. Mao hesitated but was persuaded by Chu to go along. He then asked Tang Xian for the destination. Tang inquired if he was Ye Chenxi's brother, which made Chu nervous. He tried to change the topic by claiming he was starving. They all went out for a meal, during which Mao appeared to be blushing. Tang asked Chu about the test results and whether he had made it into the top 10. Chu replied that he wasn't sure. She also asked if he had been with Ye Chenxi recently, making Chu nervous as he replied he had been busy. Tao questioned Chu's self-respect, which added to his discomfort. Chu then turned to Mao and urged him to confess his feelings for Tao Yunyao. Mao hesitated, and Tao remarked that Chu was merely trying to divert attention and called Mao unlucky for having such a friend. Chu confirmed that Mao was unable to say it aloud, but genuinely liked Tao. He then asked Tao what she thought of Mao. Tao asked Chu not to pressure Mao and suggested that Chu should also confess. Chu took Tang Xian's hand and admitted that he liked her. He then encouraged Mao to make his confession. At that moment, Tang asked Chu what his relationship was with Ye Chenxi, creating an awkward situation for Chu. Nervously, he sat there while Tao pressed him to be honest. Summoning his courage, Mao stood up and declared his love for Tao Yunyao. Tao was surprised, and Mao went on to explain that they had known each other since kindergarten. He recalled an incident when their teacher had brought a lot of cupcakes. Everyone ate 4 or 5, but Tao had eaten 13, which he found impressive. He also mentioned a challenge where, at the age of 9, Tao ate 8 ice creams and gave him 2 from the 5 extras she won. He continued with an anecdote from their middle school graduation, where there was a steamed bun eating contest. Everyone ate 6-7 buns, Mao managed 3, but Tao ate 10. Mao felt embarrassed recounting these events, while Chu teased Tao for eating so much despite being thin. Tao, feeling overwhelmed, shouted at Mao and accused him of being a crybaby since childhood. Mao was pleased she remembered, as it was true. Tao then pushed his face into the food and walked out. Tang, also feeling the need to leave, followed suit. Mao was left confused about why she reacted that way. Chu reassured him that he hadn't done anything wrong. She was just embarrassed. Mao requested Chu to give him a heads up next time, as he felt embarrassed for himself. Chu agreed to inform him in advance and asked what was so embarrassing about the situation. Afterwards, Chu returned home and saw Hua Hua sitting with his mother. He asked what she was doing there. His mother explained that she had invited Hua Hua for dinner to thank her for helping with the company. She mentioned needing Chu's assistance with something and led him into her room. Once inside, his mother asked about his relationship with Hua Hua. Chu replied that they were friends. She pressed for more details, asking what kind of friend she was. Chu inquired if Hua Hua had said something to her. His mother said she had a gut feeling and scolded Chu for liking Ye Chenxi and spending time with Hua Hua, questioning his self-respect. Chu felt embarrassed, and his mother demanded to know his plans. He stated that he intended for them to marry into their family. His mother screamed at him for being crazy. Chu explained that he was an adult and knew what he was doing. He also suggested that she should lecture his sister instead, pointing out that she had found a son-in-law for her. Annoyed, his mother decided to overlook this instance and told him to call his sister for dinner. Chu then went to his sister's room, where she was lying on the bed, engaged in a video call. He told her to hang up the phone and criticized her for spending the whole day in her room. She asked him to wait a moment, and after 20 minutes, he pushed her head and told her to end the call. Surprised to see him interrupting, Xiao ended the call. Suddenly, Xiao hugged him and thanked him for protecting their relationship, revealing that their mother was no longer opposed to it. Chu pushed her away and yelled at her for being so strange. She punched him for his rudeness, and Chu was angry, feeling she should be grateful instead. Apologizing, Xiao asked him to forget about it and cheer up. Chu then inquired if she could meet his mother's expectations. Nervous, she asked what they were. He told her that his mother required her to secure a house on Zhuke Street within a year. Otherwise, she would have to marry into their family. Xiao was shocked, saying it was impossible to get a house there, and even with enough money, there was no guarantee of success. Ku mentioned that there were a few solutions, and suggested she help their mother with the company, which was a heavy burden. Chu then spoke with Hua Hua and proposed that she join his mother's company as a technical consultant for a new software project. Hua Hua felt nervous about her capability to handle the task. Chu reassured her that if she couldn't do it, no one else could. Hua Hua expressed concern that his mother didn't like her, but Chu insisted she just needed to give a yes or no. After she agreed, Chu hugged and kissed her. His mother, watching from the terrace, witnessed the scene. Hua Hua felt embarrassed and left. Chu realized that she resembled the girls he knew from the normal world. Upon entering his house, he approached his mother and expressed his desire for Hua Hua to work with her company. She replied that while Hua Hua was talented, there was no vacancy in her company. Chu insisted that he wanted to expand her company and requested that she set up a department for Hua Hua to develop new software. She responded that she hadn't planned to grow her company that much, and it would be very costly. Chu insisted that she must do it for the sake of the Chu family. His mother shouted at him, questioning how much he really understood. Chu admitted he didn't know much, but added that he wouldn't marry into the Gong family and wasn't afraid of Chu Anlan. She screamed at him, telling him to go back to his room. Chu went to his room and sat by the window. He reflected on how the Chu family had mentally tormented his mother in the past, and felt the need to uncover what had happened. His mother entered the room and shouted at him to get down from the window. He apologized, saying he shouldn't have brought it up. She smiled and admitted that she had been harsh, but he was right. She explained that she just wanted a quiet and peaceful life but had been pushed to the brink, even having her son used for their personal gain. She said if she continued to tolerate it, they would only take more advantage of her, and she shouldn't let them. Chu was pleased to hear this and realized that his only remaining issue was Zui Meng. Chu went to Zui Meng, who asked if his sister's issue was resolved. He threw a letter to her, which she caught. Chu noted that she seemed weaker than Xing Wei. Zui Meng asked how he had managed it. He replied that he was leaving, and it would be best if they avoided crossing paths. She demanded an answer, and questioned if Xing Li had instructed him to keep it secret, implying that she could kill him if she wanted. Chu, however, simply turned back and kissed her. She pushed him away using her power, and he questioned her intentions, thinking that according to the world's logic, he was the one who had been taken advantage of in that situation. Zui Meng grabbed his neck, lifting him up, and demanded to know why he had kissed her. Zui had grabbed his neck, but Chu pushed himself up and kicked her in the stomach to break her grip. He warned her not to do anything shady, or he would make her regret it. She demanded he apologize and pay up before he could leave. After saying sorry, Zui asked for money. When Chu questioned why she wanted money from him, she replied that it was part of their deal, and that she had a recording. Humiliated, Chu argued that she was the one who made him do those things and now wanted his money. He told her he didn't have any money. She then asked for his sword if he didn't have money. Chu replied that it wasn't with him at the moment, but Zui remembered that he had made it appear before. She insisted he teach her that technique, and then she would forgive him. Chu called her greedy. Zui told him to fulfill his side of the deal, otherwise she wouldn't let him leave alive. Chu took out his gun and accused her of forcing him into this situation. He fired at her, but she stopped the bullet with her power, causing it to explode. Chu fell to the ground, surrounded by smoke. Zui emerged from the smoke, coming closer to him with her own weapon in hand. She acknowledged his cleverness, but asked what made him think a grade 3 Wang Chuan bullet could stop her. She reminded him that he wasn't the only one with Wang Chuan bullets. Chu then asked, "What about 2 or 3 bullets?" revealing that he had 3 Wang Chuan bullets given to him by the mayor. Both were prepared for a fight. Chu said that killing her wouldn't benefit him, so he proposed a deal. He would give her 100 spirit stones like the ones he had given her earlier. Zui responded that it wouldn't be enough for her. Chu tossed a magical pill to her and asked, "What if he add this pill too?" She caught it and asked what it was. He told her to absorb it directly and see for herself. After absorbing it, Zui felt her strength significantly boosted. Amazed, she asked for more. Chu offered to give her a bunch of them, as big as his fist, and she accepted his offer. He handed her a handful of pills. Realizing how troublesome Chu was, she thought about how he first destroyed her pole and then broke her roof. She wanted to make him her male pet and declared that he would never escape her grasp. As Chu left, he declared that he would make her surname Chu, no matter what. The next day, Chu went to Chu Tianan's company. He noticed that everyone was gathered around Hua Hua, asking for her help since she had become the company's new technical director. Chu observed the scene for a moment, then approached her. Leaning in, he whispered in her ear, calling her Director Cheng. She told him not to tease her, explaining that she was supposed to be a consultant, but his mother had made her the director instead. Chu replied that his mother had a good eye for talent and that Hua Hua was doing an amazing job, earning everyone's respect. Hua Hua asked if he was there just to tease her, but Chu said he was actually there to ask her to dinner. They needed to celebrate. Hua Hua was delighted and suggested they go to the same restaurant as before. As they were leaving, Chu's sister hurried over to them. She grabbed her leg, complaining that she had been in the office all day and couldn't take it anymore. Chu told her that if she couldn't handle it, she would have to marry into the Xing family. Feeling motivated, she said she could do it, and then Chu and Hua Hua left. The scene then shifted to Chu's school, where everyone was gossiping about something. Mao came up to Chu, grabbed his hand, and asked if he had finished preparing his apology speech. Chu, confused, asked what he meant. Mao explained that the exam scores had been released and that everyone was saying Chu hadn't made it into the top 10, so he should start working on an apology speech for the morning assembly. Chu replied that he wouldn't surrender easily and asked how Mao could be so sure he didn't make the top 10. Mao told him that no boy had ever made it into the top 10. They went to class, where their teacher, holding the test scores, was waiting with high spirits. She pointed at Chu and told him to inform his parents to come to the school the next day. Everyone started gossiping that he hadn't made it into the top 10. Chu said he believed he had done well enough to make the top 10 and that the exam wasn't hard. The teacher told him he was wrong. He got first place in the class and 11th place in his grade, making it impossible for him to be in the top 10. She accused him of cheating and said he couldn't have made the top 10 even by cheating. Chu shouted at her for making such accusations and demanded evidence. The teacher said she had it and that they would be reviewing the footage. The 8th class teacher had told her that he had cheated, and now she wanted to use this opportunity to penalize him. Meanwhile, Tang Xian was playing basketball on the court. Tao ran over to her, grabbed her arm, and told her that her boyfriend was in trouble. The teacher claimed he had cheated on the exam and had been taken to the security room. Tang replied that it didn't concern her. Tao insisted, saying it was rare to see him embarrassed, and that it would be even better if Mao got dragged into it too. Tang told her she was going to be disappointed, but they both went to the security room anyway. The principal was there as well. Tang and Tao entered, and Tang went straight to Chu. They smiled at each other and began watching the footage. It showed that Chu hadn't cheated on the exam. Others had. Miss Tong then asked Teacher Wu if she hadn't claimed that Chu had cheated during the exam. Miss Wu screamed that she hadn't said that. The principal responded that there was no problem, but Chu showed them footage of the girl cheating. Miss Tong asked Miss Wu if that girl was her student, and Miss Wu admitted that the girl was from her class. Miss Tong shouted at her, saying that Miss Wu's student had cheated on the exam, and yet she had tried to ruin her student's reputation. The director was embarrassed to see this and sent Tao to call that girl from class 8. Miss Wu scolded the girl for cheating on the exam. The girl apologized and admitted that she had contacted a few other students and asked them to each study one topic so they could cheat during the exam. The principal was furious and left the rest to the director, instructing her to penalize the students involved. The director then asked Chu if he was the one who helped the school gain popularity during the basketball competition. She apologized to him for this incident and told him to count on her if he had any problems in the future. Chu said it was partly his fault too, as he shouldn't have argued with his class teacher. As they were walking out of the security room, Tao told Chu that he was extremely lucky to have made the top 10 just like that. He didn't understand, so Tang explained that the girl who cheated was part of the top 10. As punishment, her results were nullified, so now she was no longer in the top 10, which meant Chu had made it into the top 10. Tang congratulated him for being the first boy to achieve top 10 in a test. Tao then asked him how he did it, and if he had used any secret cheating methods during the exam. Chu replied that he hadn't done anything like that, and asked if she had a brain in her big head. Everyone around them was talking about how Chu had made it into the top 10 and how compatible he and Tang Xian were. They went to class, and the teacher announced a new transfer student. Chu was relieved, thinking that Miss Tong wouldn't trouble him anymore. Then, Li Yue walked into the classroom, and Chu recognized him as Tang Xian's fiancé. Li Yue introduced himself to the class. Later, Chu was talking to Tang Xian in the corridor. He asked her if it was her mom who had sent Li Yue to join their school. Tang asked if he was jealous of Li Yue. Chu said there was no comparison between them. Tang told him to admit it. Then she pulled his face and kissed him on the cheek. Li Yue was watching them from a distance and was extremely annoyed to see this. Li Yue jumped towards Tang Xian, and Mao entered and asked Chu if he was going to do anything about Li Yue, as he might take Tang Xian away from him. Chu told him not to worry, saying that if Li Yue actually managed to take her away, Chu would think more highly of him, and it would make things even more interesting. Chu told Chu that Li Yue was talking about him and spreading rumors to ruin his reputation. Fei suggested taking Li Yue to the men's restroom and beating him up. Chu replied that Li Yue wasn't worth their time and could do whatever he wanted. The real problem was Tang Xian's mother, and he needed to change her opinion about him. Zhuo then mentioned that they had been practicing the cultivation technique Chu had taught them, and that there were no side effects. Chu reassured him that, of course, there would be no side effects, and he would never betray them. Chu checked their progress. One had reached the 5th realm, another had entered the 6th realm, and one was still in the 3rd realm and was feeling down about it. Chu told him that talent and practice play major roles, and that there was no need to be depressed about it. Chu gave them some spirit stones to help them cultivate faster. He realized that his cultivation technique was perfect for them, as they had reached the Hejiang realm so quickly. Chu lay down on the grass, contemplating whether he would ever be able to leave this world, and if he could, whether he should. He thought about everyone he cared about and realized he couldn't just leave them. Then he remembered Gong and hoped that she had taken his warning about her body seriously. The scene then shifted to the school canteen, where Chu and Mao were having their food. Tao entered and told Chu that she had found someone more annoying than him. She was talking about Li Yue, who was hanging around Tang Xian. Xian and Li Yue got their food, and Xian went to sit at their table. Li Yue didn't want to sit there because Chu was already sitting, but Xian refused to go anywhere else. So they sat down. Tao grabbed Mao's shirt and pulled him away, saying they shouldn't get involved in this three-way conflict. Chu said he was done and wanted to leave, but Tang warned him to think carefully if he really wanted to go. Li Yuwei was irritated to see them together and tried to get Tang Xian's attention by talking about silly things. Chu, annoyed by his behavior, told Tang Xian that if he were in her place, he would have beaten Li Yuwei up long ago, and then he took a piece of food from Tang Xian's plate. Li Yuwei, jealous of Chu, asked Tang to feed him with her hand. She did, and he was ecstatic. Chu then asked him, "Didn't you say you don't like pork?" Realizing this, Li Yuwei immediately vomited on the table. Tang felt so bad that she left. Li then warned Chu to stay away from Tang Xian. Otherwise, he wouldn't let him off the hook easily. Chu tried to trick him by pretending that Tang Xian was standing behind him. Li started crying, complaining that Chu had told him to stay away from her. He turned around, saw that Tang Xian wasn't there, and screamed at Chu. Chu said that if Li were to marry Tang Xian, the Tang family would be one step closer to doom. Li Yuwei screamed, saying that he would remember this. Chu told him that Tang Xian was behind him, but Li, thinking Chu was trying to trick him, replied that he wouldn't be fooled this time. He declared that anyone who went after Tang Xian would die. Chu turned around, and Li shouted at him for ignoring his warning. Then Li realized that Tang Xian was actually standing behind him. Shocked, Li tried to explain himself, saying that Chu had started it. She calmly replied that she didn't care and told him to leave. Li begged her for forgiveness, but she was indifferent, and he eventually left. Chu then asked Tang Xian for a reward for helping her. She told him that it wasn't something he was supposed to do and that, as her boyfriend, it was his job to chase away people like Li. Chu responded by saying he allowed Li to follow her around. Tang asked if he was jealous when Li was following her. Chu denied being jealous, saying he actually found it quite amusing. Meanwhile, Li Yuwei hired someone to show Chu Qing's picture to, telling the man that he wanted this boy to die in the most painful way possible. The man agreed to do it. Later, Chu felt that something bad was going to happen that day. He received a text from Zui Ming, who sent him a picture of his sister, saying that she was waiting for him at Drunken Dreams. Chu thought his sister had been kidnapped again and immediately called her to check if she was okay. Chu Xiao was fine, but Chu Qing was still confused about Zui Ming's intentions. He wondered if she was planning something against his sister if he didn't show up. As he got into his car and closed the door, Chu sensed something unusual. He quickly jumped out of the car just as it exploded into flames, burning fiercely within seconds. A crowd quickly gathered around the burning vehicle. Chu called Zhuo and informed him that there had been an explosion outside the school. Zhuo, who was already at the scene, told him that it would likely be covered in the news. Chu explained that someone had tried to kill him and asked Zhuo to help him find out who was behind the attack. Zhuo agreed and promised to inform Chu if they discovered any information about the incident. Chu went to the Drunken Dreams and thought that Zui could not be responsible for the explosion. She wouldn't resort to such underhanded methods. He went up to the 67th floor, where Zui was sitting. Chu asked her why she had called him there. She offered him tea, making the cup float in the air with her powers, and asked why he was so angry. Chu was surprised at how much her powers had increased in such a short time. She then used her power to break the cup over his head, causing the tea to spill on him. Chu used his powers to control the tea and consumed it. He threw the tea leaves towards her, and she absorbed them. Chu said that playtime was over, and asked her to tell him why she had called him. She replied that she wanted him to be her male pet. Chu said he wasn't interested and started to walk away. Zui told him to stop, and when Chu turned back, she tried to grab him. She tore his shirt, calling him handsome, and then tore off his pants as well. Chu shouted at her, saying she didn't have to make a big deal out of it. She was just horny and had called him for that reason. Zui insisted that he do what she wanted. Chu held her waist and told her she needed to be honest and clear about her intentions. Zui pushed him down and began to act seductively. Chu got on top, and Zui was happy that he took the initiative. After some time, they lay there together, and Zui told him she wanted him to be her pet and that she would treat him well. She also asked him to teach her the secret technique he used to hide his weapons. She asked if he would forgive her if she ever did something bad or made him angry. She was excited and said she wouldn't be mad at him and asked if he was going to teach her the technique. Chu told her he was going to show her something, but that she shouldn't be mad at him. Chu raised his finger, causing Li to become furious with him. Chu banged on the window and then jumped out of it. As he floated in the air, Li screamed at him, asking if he wanted her to kill him. Chu replied that she had broken their promise and got mad at him, so the agreement between them was nullified, and he left. Li decided that she would kill him the next time they met. Since his sister still worked there as a bartender, she could take her revenge at any time. Chu went to the washroom to change his clothes. Afterward, he called Zhuo and asked about the person who blew up his car. Zhuo informed him that the person had been hired by Li Yuwei, and that they had discovered he would be picking someone up from Jiangmeng Airport at midnight. Chu was furious with Li Yuwei and wanted to kill him. As Chu was walking down the road, Tang Xian approached him and asked if he planned to kill Li Yuwei. Chu confirmed that he intended to do so. She advised him to calm down, warning that killing Li Yue now would cause a lot of trouble since he was part of the Li family. Chu responded that he didn't care about the consequences. If he didn't kill Li Yue would undoubtedly try to kill him again. Tang Xian tried to make him understand that he should wait, and that this wasn't the right time to strike. Chu argued that the Li family and the Ye family might start a war, and asked if she wanted him to wait until the Ye family was destroyed before killing Li Yue. She admitted that she knew he had ties with the Ye family, which was why she hadn't told him about it. He clarified that this wasn't about the Ye family, but about him, and he believed this was the perfect time to act. Tang Xian cautioned that if he killed Li Yue, the Li family would seek revenge, potentially endangering both the Ye family and Chu's family. Chu told her not to worry and that nothing would stop him from killing Li Yue. Tang insisted that she wouldn't allow the Ye family to be destroyed because of his actions. Chu thanked her for caring about him. Tang then asked if Ye Chenxi or the Ye family's secret martial arts technique was behind his confidence. Chu replied that it didn't matter, and that Tang Xian was the most important person to him. Tang blushed, and Chu realized that if he didn't relent, he would face a lot of trouble in the future. Chu drew his sword and declared that nothing would stop him from killing Li Yue today, not even the Ye family. He said he needed only his sword to overcome any obstacle in his path, and the trust of the people he loved. He told her he had nothing more to say, then walked away with his sword, determined to kill Li Yue.